spider monkey.
No, the diamonds are here.
You greasy bastard. Where's my shoes?
Sign your pity on the running time.
Big and white and cruel and mean.
Kiss my Converse. Easy, white chocolate. I wouldn't want you to melt.
But you just have to give me twice as much blood.
I'm coming.
I don't want you to come.
You're gonna need a bigger
Spider monkey. Spider monkey. Hold on tight, spider monkey.
Alright, and welcome to the Bowels of Movie Night. I'm Isaac, and with me as always is my fearless co-host Larry. How are you doing this week, Larry?
I'm doing good. I just this morning I finished the latest season. I'm very behind of What We Do in the Shadows. I was down to the last episode, and can we just pivot the podcast to talk about that, because I have many questions, most of which, oh dear God, what are they thinking? They're gonna ruin my favorite show, aren't they?
What do you do in the shadows?
My best friend and I also turned into a contest of making what spin-offs to that show would be called, but really it was just how can we rhyme silly words that rhyme with that show for a while. Let me see. It turned into, what did he say? It was, there's the vampire sequel on the river, What We Do With These Paddles. And then I said, What We Do in These Saddles. There was a Tyler Perry did a barbershop series one, What We Do in the Cornrows. It turned into a whole... It was a whole thing. It was the blind cobbler, Who I Shoe in the Shadows. It just went on for a while. This is my life. It's a waste. I don't deserve the precious gift of life I've been given.
You should find a little kid with cancer and, I don't know, give your life force to them.
If I could, I genuinely would. Well, thanks for coming to our comedy show.
Oh, man. So, yeah, we talk about how dreadful existing is. That's what the podcast... That's pretty much what the podcast is about.
It's what it often turns into. We'll be talking about it today, for sure.
Oh, God. So, yeah, we are the Bowels of Movie Night. We make each other watch terrible movies. Find us on the internet. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Send us an email, bowelsofmovienight@gmail.com. Make sure to rate, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Write a review if you feel like it. Smack your grandmother and steal her goddamn Werthers and make her listen to the podcast. And check us out on theearlybeer.com, where there's a small amount of content that will be growing. It's like a little tiny penis that's not hard yet. And then it'll get hard and it'll get bigger.
Yeah, we're both familiar with that.
Are you a grower?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Oh, you've never seen my penis?
Yeah, I've never seen your penis. It'll happen one day.
I don't think it will.
I'll make it happen. And that might be a crime, but
it sounds like a crime. No, I'm a grower. Yeah, it's a pathetic when it's not in use.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually,
Group showers.
I prefer that, because you know what? It's compact.
Yeah.
It's travel. We were just talking before we started about you, and you're talking about what you could take on a plane. And yeah, think about how much easier and compact a tiny shriveled penis is for travel.
Yeah, you can't get on United Airlines with more than a 7-inch penis.
It's true. They take off whatever doesn't fit over the line. It's like, you never see like a fish market where they have there's like the groove where the knife hits and the guy puts the fish in to get the head off. It's like that, but with penises and a flight attendant.
Yeah, it's at the check-in. You take your shoes off, you get hard, put it on the measuring table.
Yeah, it's true. They hire women to strip, to just dance on poles, and men. They're just dancing on poles, just constantly around there, so you're hard, and you can just be ready for the chopping. This is just... I don't even know what this is.
The pain of existence. The dreadful pain of existence. So, what movie are we covering this week?
We have another email from Sarah.
Oh, nice.
Our friend, not Dr. Twilight, our friend Sarah, who is replying to my reply to her last email, and is... Sarah, again, I love you. You were the worst. Because I was complaining that she was sending an email as if we were having a regular conversation, instead of once a week I look at these and try to remember what the fuck she was talking about. And the email goes, "Hi Larry, but now we have a conversation going through these emails." No, we don't. No, we don't. Yes. It's you send things and I yell. That's not a conversation. That's just actually that's the entire podcast.
Yeah, that's most of the conversations my parents had when I grew up.
and mine. Please do a mini Beverly episode since Isaac watched it, referring to Beverly Love Lynn, and you're going to get your wish, because we are going to be doing that, because we both watched it and we need content. And it's Isaac thought it was one of the worst movies of his life, and I agree.
Yeah, it hurt.
Also, you both refer to a vagina as a moonflower in Paul Blart, 10 out of 10 stars. Yeah, well, I guess, I take after you, Isaac. I am a sponge that absorbs the people around me. So,
Moonflower is just great.
it's, sure, yes. I mean, there's a lot of words for vagina that are terrible.
Vagina.
Vagina. They're just,
Ooh.
most of them are just wretched.
Have you ever heard someone call a bushy vagina a furgina?
Oh my god. Oh.
That's perfect.
Oh.
A vagina.
Oh god, that's horrible. Thank you for the immediate proof of concept that most words to refer to the beautiful genitalia as awful. So yes, thank you, Sarah. So my review today, oh boy, is Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Which is there's no it's Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. That is the name of the movie. Oh man, it's, this one's going to be a long one. It turns out I have a lot to say.
For anyone who doesn't know, this is from Kevin Smith, who famously made Clerks in 1994, which is a phenomenal movie. He's made some other good movies, and he's made some really bad movies.
I think I will talk about Kevin Smith more than I talk about Jay and Silent Bob in this review, so don't worry.
Yeah, that makes sense. But he's one of those guys who writes, directs, and often acts in his own movies.
You have no idea what's about to happen.
Oh boy.
This movie is the Avengers Endgame of the Kevin Smith universe.
Oh god.
That is not a joke. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. Because you can't ever have me watch anything that makes sense, can you? Imagine if I made you watch Avengers Endgame and you had seen, like, one of the movies up to that.
I think
like, you saw Thor 2, the worst one, and then you had to watch Avengers Endgame and be like, why is everyone crying? What's happening here?
I watched the beginning of Endgame, I just never finished it. And with no context, because I don't really watch Marvel movies.
Yeah. Well, it really only works if you have the context, so...
Yeah.
I mean, it's still,
they're
fun.
Beautiful people with powers.
They punch people. Yeah, I like punching. I like stuff that punches. All right. Well, this is gonna be a long episode, everyone. So strap in.
I got a quick question. Speaking of punches, like everyone knows about Hawaiian punch. What would Pennsylvania punch be like?
It would probably be full of roofies, if I'm being totally honest. This state is the worst. I hate being here, and I hope to leave it in the dust one day.
Well, don't go to New Jersey. It's not any better.
No, but there's not many places lower on the list I would... I guess there's a big swath of the South I just don't ever want to be in. So, yeah, no, New Jersey was not on the list of places to go. Don't worry.
New Jersey punch is basically after, like, you take used steroid needles and you get the drippings.
I was going to assume it was like bong water and Swedish fish vodka, honestly, is what I assume a New Jersey punch is. All right, well, yeah, so the Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Rotten Tomatoes, well, let's start with IMDb. IMDb is a 5.6 with 25,000 ratings, which is pretty high for us, but still around the middle. Yeah. So this one, like I said, we're going to have a lot to talk about, and it's sort of a divisive... But not like people think it's terrible and people think it's great. It's just sort of like people think how good it is. The tomato meter, for Rotten Tomatoes, this one is, I think, one of the more interesting dichotomies between two scores we've ever had. The tomato meter is 64%. Wow. The audience score is 93.
Wow, 93.
This was a movie that was made for fans of Kevin Smith and what he calls the View Askewniverse.
Oh, I forgot that was the name for it. That's irritating.
We're going to talk about Kevin Smith a lot. A lot. If you've never wanted to hear about Kevin Smith before in your life, either now you're going to learn or turn the episode off because he writes himself into this movie, and also it stinks of his work immensely. So the View Askewniverse, which we need to talk about before anything else, it's the fictional universe that sort of how like the Marvel universe, where even if you've never seen a Marvel movie, you sort of get the idea. Iron Man and Captain America live in the same world, and sometimes they team up and high five. And, Captain America is pretty goody two-shoes. He's probably not going to a bunch of whores. But, so then there's movies that feature both of them. So Kevin Smith Kevin Smith likes three things pretty much, and three things only, and it's pretty much what he bases his entire personality and all his work off. Hockey, weed, comic books. That is the three things that man likes, and
that sounds about right.
Pretty much all of it. And so he created this cinematic universe, the Askewniverse, because his production house is called Askew. And for those of you who are unaware, Jay and Silent Bob are sort of the through line through all of his movies. They appear in every one of them. Now, he himself, Kevin Smith, plays Silent Bob, and Jason Mewes, one of his friends, plays Jay. And I don't think Jason Mewes really had a career outside of this. I believe he really struggled through most of his life with like a lot of drug problems. So I don't think he really had a Hollywood career. I didn't actually look him up if he like his career, but I think his Hollywood career, if it exists, other than being Jay, is very marred by like. Oh no, he was in a lot of stuff, but it looks like he. Yeah,
I think he's been in stuff. He's not. He hasn't. He's not, in no way a movie star or anything.
No, and a lot of his stuff he appears as Jay because Jay and Silent Bob are sort of a staple. You know, they're a staple of the '90s culture in a way. So yeah, and there's the through line to the Askewniverse, but more or less, there's really just 4 movies. That make up the Askewniverse, and then their respective sequels and follow-ups and series, etc. So it's Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and Dogma. And then Jay and Silent Bob have their own set of movies, but they're sort of Jay and Silent Bob come from those 4. I guess it's 5. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And then there's like an animated series of Clerks, and then there's like a follow-up to Jay and Silent Bob that was animated, and there's Clerks 2, but it basically most of these characters are referenced in the other movies or appear in the other movies, and this is the one that brings it all together because basically every one of the major characters from his older movies appear in this, except for the one guy from Clerks for some reason. I don't know why. The Randall,
the main guy.
Well, no,
Randall.
Dante's there, but
okay.
Randall doesn't show up, and I don't really know why. But there is a Clerks 3 coming, and he is slated to be in it. So maybe it was just a timing thing. I don't know. But so we've done a Kevin Smith. We've done 2 Kevin Smith. We've done in this show. Isaac has done them both. It's
fuck you.
Yoga Hosers and Tusk. So that is episode 6. I don't remember what it was. Yoga Hosers. I don't remember where Tusk is. I think it was somewhere in the 20s. But that sounds right. We've visited Kevin Smith's work before. Those are not part of the Askewniverse, thankfully. They're just, and he's done other movies, like he's done Jersey Girl, I know, which Isaac, I believe you said you liked. But it's
right, that's the one with Ben Affleck and J-Lo, right?
I don't know about. I've never seen it. I know Ben Affleck is in it. So. I don't know about J-Lo.
And George Carlin plays like the grandpa.
Yeah,
that was a cute movie.
Yeah, you mentioned liking it. I don't really know anything about it, but so anyway, because we're going to talk about them a lot, what we need to know about the Askewniverse from my perspective, because I'm the one who's watching it, so I'm going to be the one reacting to the shit happening in the reboot that is related to these old movies. I have seen Clerks. I love Clerks. Clerks is a great movie. I think it's well written. I think it's funny. I think it holds up. It's sort of like. It's sort of this piece of, I think, Americana, truly, like American cinema. I think it's this sort of movie that's kind of in the subconscious of a lot of people who make media now.
It was a big deal too, just for how, because it was, he like maxed out his credit cards and filmed it for $30,000 or something.
He made it for like an amount of money that if Isaac and I really wanted, we could probably also make a movie for that amount of money. Like it's a great movie. Like it's a good comedy.
Yeah. It's definitely in my top 100.
Yeah. And weird. This is going to be even weirder. Clerks 2, which is not as beloved, I actually like a little more. Even though it's way more commercial and it's way more generic, there is like a scene at the end of that movie that's like very much about like the meaning of friendship, which sounds like dumb My Little Pony shit, but it's more of, there is like it was very, at the time of my life that I saw it, it was like deeply personal and it really hit me. And like I remember, I have very, very fond memories, and I think it's a good movie, but I have very, very fond memories of that too. And also I've seen about half of Chasing Amy. and I remember it being very good, and I think it's very well received, but I'm not going to get into that too much because we're actually going to talk about that near the end of this review a bit. We're going to go into that a little more. So I don't know anything about Dogma. I don't know anything about Mallrats, and I don't care. And if you try to tell me about Dogma, I'm leaving the call.
Dogma's great.
I don't
Not as good as
believe
Clerks.
you. I don't believe you.
Especially if you don't like religion, which neither of us particularly do.
No.
It's phenomenal.
There was a pizza shop in the shitty town I lived in with my father for a while that he used to go and drink and probably, frankly, sell drugs. And I went in one day and Dogma was on, and I saw, I believe it was Jay, shooting an Uzi, shooting the wings off of an angel, and I was like, man, that looks stupid. I was like 12 at the time. And I remember thinking, boy, that looks dumb.
Once you have the context, you got Alan Rickman, you got George Carlin.
Okay.
It's great.
Yes, dear. Whatever you say. Well, we'll
Mallrats I have not seen either.
Yeah, I don't
that was
know
a
anything.
weird... It's kind of got a cult following, but it was a flop
It's
at the
not.
time.
People don't like it. I don't.
Yeah.
Everything has a cult, especially everything Kevin Smith has a cult following.
There's a
but
Kevin Smith fan base.
I believe that generally Mallrats is mal-regarded. I think Chasing Amy holds up for a lot of people. It's kind of weirdly too, but again, we'll get into that later. But so yeah, and then Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Believe it or not, I've never seen that, but that's the other sort of foundation movie of this. But this is like a direct sequel to that, sort of. So whatever. They basically rehash it and then make fun of how they rehash it the entire movie. And I want Kevin Smith to get hit by a bus, not fatally. I just want him to get like winged by it. I want him to have to be in bed for like 4 or 5 days because he got winged by a bus. So yeah, great. That's basically 15 minutes of me rambling before the movie's even started. Awesome. Sorry. So we're gonna open on what is become, and this, yeah. Also, this movie has 1 billion actors in it, and we'll get to them in a shortly. We open on what's becoming a new staple, a huge variety of production houses. It seems like the Amazon Prime Askewniverse has movies that needed 17 fucking houses to get them off the ground. But at least in this case, it's mostly Kevin Smith's houses. I guess he has a few, and I think one was Jason Mewes. So it's like, you know, it's basically the logos all end up being Kevin Smith jokes anyway. But we open up on the fairly iconic scene of the Quick Stop grocery store, the site of Clerks, and certainly a feature in several, if not all, of the View Askew universe movies. I'm not going to really go over the plot of any of these other movies. If you want to see them, but I'm not going to bother. It doesn't matter enough what the plot is, just whether or not you've seen them and recognize the references they're making. So it's not important.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We see the main character of Clerks, Dante, pull up in his shitty old car and get ready to open the store. He notices the store next door, which was formerly a videotape rental in the old movies, is now a chicken sandwich joint called Cocksmokers. Isaac, do you get it? I hope you're not tired of hearing me say, Isaac, do you get it? Because I believe it's written in this review 90 to 95 times. Suddenly, a man puts a gun to Dante's head, and we see that the building is now swarming with SWAT team members. As they slam Dante on the car, he tries to sell out his partner, Randall, and he mentions he is not supposed to be here today. For those of you who have not seen Clerks, these are references to Dante's most famous complaint and the other main character of Clerks. So as you can see, we're going to go down a big rabbit hole of Kevin Smith's greatest fucking hits here, which is fantastic, considering I've seen like one of them and half of the other. Fuck.
I hope there's Dogma references that
There
I'll
are.
get.
There are.
Yes.
I do need to take a minute to address all the Kevin Smith fans in the audience. There are a lot, and I mean a lot, of actors present in this movie who are references to characters in the View Askewniverse. I mean a lot, and guess what? I don't know who the fuck most of these people are. So right now, for your listening displeasure, I am going to read you the entire list of View Askewniverse actresses and actors who have appeared in this movie and at least one other Kevin Smith joint. And if you want to know who the hell else they are, you can go look it up yourself. So, where did I put that list? Jason Mewes, Kevin Smith, Scott Mosier, Walt Flanagan, Brian Johnson, Brian O'Halloran, Ernest O'Donnell, John Wilyoung, Virginia Smith, Grace Smith, Scott Shaffio, Joey Lauren Adams, Jason Lee, Ben Affleck, Stan Lee, Matt Damon, Shannon Elizabeth, Jennifer Schwalbach Smith, who the fuck? Jason Biggs, James Vanderbeek, Jake Richardson, Harley Quinn Smith, Nate Fellinger, Rosario Dawson, Ming Chen, Mike Zapkick. There. Fuck you.
If only George Carlin hadn't died.
He's dead. Well, Stan Lee is in it posthumously because he died before. Stan Lee was meant to, because Kevin Smith, again, he likes three things, and he has poured his entire personality into those three things. So he's a huge Stan Lee fan. And Stan Lee's great, no problem with him.
Stan Lee's what, hockey?
Yeah, Stan Lee. He and Wayne Gretzky were the greatest hockey linebackers that ever lived. No, Stan Lee's the father of Marvel Comics. I don't think he paid his workers very well back in the day, but whatever. He seems like a nice dude. He was meant to be a major part of this movie, but died before he could be, so which is honestly probably for the best. But I think he was very fond of Kevin Smith, so whatever. He has basically just a cameo in the end of like archival footage. But yeah, no, George Carlin not in this, thankfully. So if I miss a reference, direct your mail to Isaac Early, because I sure as fuck ain't watching Mallrats to point out a cameo in this movie that is primarily about weed, fatherhood, and Kevin Smith. Three things that I hate.
Also include nudes for any emails directed at me.
Yes, not to me. All right, so the cops around the building. Yelly, sweary police sergeant or whatever says something about the chicken store being a dispensary and is excited to arrest Jay and Silent Bob at long last. One of these cops is the Russian guy from Ant-Man, his criminal friend. I don't know his name. David Dalmatian or something. It's like Dashiell or something. It looks like Dalmatian if you squint. Anyway, the SWAT team smoke grenades the store, and Jay runs out with handfuls of weed plants. If you're not familiar with what Jay and Silent Bob look like, Jay just looks like a tweaky, methed-out white dude with a hat that has a wig in it and long blonde hair. That's it. Jay pulls down his pants and tucks his penis betwixt his legs as Goodbye Horses plays, mirroring Buffalo Bill and Silence of the Lambs, and also something I'm pretty sure he does in most of those movies, because he definitely did it in Clerks 2 as well.
Jesus.
The SWAT team guy from Ant-Man starts screaming that Jay doesn't have a dick because it's tucked. Really funny. Silent Bob comes out in a gas mask. Silent Bob is Kevin Smith, now quite thin and much healthier after being a fat piece of shit and almost dying from a heart attack a few years back. As a current fat piece of shit with my heart attack on the way, I can appreciate this transformation. And if you squint, he looks a little bit like Robert Downey Jr. if you're not paying attention. We get the opening title and led into a courtroom where Justin Long is their lawyer. Justin Long was in Idiocracy, which is a movie that was revered in my household and a joke my entire family loved, so it's nice to see him getting some work. We also see Craig Robinson as the judge, and can't escape from this Beverly Luff Lynn motherfucker, but at least he uses words this time.
Thank God.
Joe, I can never say his last name, Magnelio, the werewolf from True Blood. Do you know how to say his last name?
No.
I truly don't, unless someone says that, I've never said it right. He's the very handsome werewolf from True Blood and also a ton of other things. He plays D&D. I'm going to try it again. Magnelio. I think that's it.
Magneto.
Yes, Joe Magneto.
Okay.
He's the bailiff, and he is a gentleman on my list of men who, if they asked, would really give my sexuality a run for its money, so it's also nice to see him. I wish he wasn't wearing a shirt. I don't know why I said that. A lot of talent in this room. Anyway, the trial starts. Jay and Silent Bob are idiots, don't understand most things, which, if you're not familiar with Jay and Silent Bob as characters, that's their whole bit. We'll dig into it a little later, but they're just dumb weed guys. That's really all you need to know.
And Silent Bob obviously doesn't talk.
Silent Bob does not speak. We're about to get that right now. Justin Long tricks him into signing legal documents. Silent Bob wants to read them, but Jay says who cares about that shit, so they sign. Justin Long is pleased that his ruse immediately worked, and we get a trial scene. I'm going to try and plow through it quickly because it's very unimportant. So for some reason, everyone seems to have some base-level awareness of who Jay and Silent Bob are throughout the entire movie. I've sort of grasped what I think happened in the movies prior, but I don't ever get a complete picture, I'm pretty sure. Craig Robinson dresses them down for being morons, and we go back and forth between Jay and Silent Bob's lawyer and the board prosecutor. Justin Long says that per the contracts they just signed, the weed dispensary they were illegally operating was not a functioning business, but a marketing promotional stunt, and as such, were totally innocent. They get off the hook for that as the case is dismissed. However, the next case on the docket is Saban Films versus Jay and Silent Bob. Justin Long stands up and walks to the prosecutor's table and is now suing them for copyright infringement and stealing their intellectual property. Jay says that he and Silent Bob have no property, have never once been intellectual, which is a very Jay and Silent Bob comeback. Being as Saban is the company that makes the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers stuff, there's a bunch of Power Ranger jokes here, a thing that I've never liked. Apparently, Saban acquired the rights to a movie called Buttman and Chronic.
Buttman or Blunt Man?
Blunt Man. I wrote Butt
Okay.
Man. Sorry.
That's a different movie.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I don't know why I wrote Butt Man. Blunt Man and Chronic. This is the central point on which the plot turns.
Okay.
So I guess, because it's never really explained what the fuck it is. Which like, you know, they don't really, there's not a fucking a title crawl that says Thanos is an alien who wants to kill half of all life. So you have to figure it out in fucking comic books. And since the man is made of comic books and weed and hockey jerseys with his own face on them, I guess he expects you to just know. He expects you to love his fucking creation so much.
I think that's the plot driving force of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
That's what I gathered. Yeah.
Yeah, someone's trying to use their image.
We're going to talk about it a lot.
Okie dokie.
But
I saw that movie like 15 years ago and don't remember it hardly at all.
That it's called Reboot for a reason.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it a lot. This is page 1 of 11.
Oh, God. Someone get help.
Yeah. So I don't really know. I guess Blunt Man and Chronic is... I believe it's a movie starring Jay and Silent Bob that became a cult hit. That is sort of what I gathered, but I think I may be wrong as the movie goes on, and I wasn't correct about that, but maybe we'll get to it later. I'm not sure. It's never really explained what exactly it is, but these two, their image is in it, and they hate it. That's all I really know about it. So, according to the ownership of the movie, Saban now owns the trademark names of Jay and Silent Bob, and the contracts they signed at the start of the trial was their tacit agreement. Also, apparently, Blunt Man and Chronic sucks, and Jay and Silent Bob hate it. Saban Films got it on Craigslist for like $3,000 or some shit. The trial concludes, and Jay and Silent Bob are hereafter stripped of their names, which basically never affects them in any way. So, whatever.
Okay.
There's like 2 gags where they say it, but then after the gag, they're like, listen, we're actually Jay and Silent Bob. But, yeah. All right, so these idiots then go see their friend Brody, who owns a comic book store. This character is from Mallrats. I have not seen Mallrats. I do not want to see Mallrats, so I'm going to blaze through the vast swath of the scene that feature this character from Mallrats. It's not funny if you don't know who the guy from Mallrats is, and I'm going to say even if you do know who the guy from Mallrats is, it's probably also not very funny. He even makes a Mallrats joke about there being actual rats in the mall, like the creature and not, children, I guess was what the Mallrats were in the movie Mallrats. Although, if you told me that Kevin Smith made a movie about a bunch of, monster anthropomorphic rats that were in a mall, I mean, is that... He made Tusk, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I've seen Tusk. I could believe anything.
We've both seen Tusk. God. So, where was I at here? All right, to make a long story short, Jay and Silent Bob have 3 magical joints from their weed dispensary that are supposed to be exceedingly powerful. We also get our first of a very long bit where Silent Bob will type on his phone for 10 minutes before turning it around to show a single emoji. Not actually 10 minutes, I was being a little unfair.
Right.
It's legitimately 10 seconds where he's over-exaggeratedly tapping on his phone and it makes the iPhone noise and he turns it around and it's just an emoji. And they do it every time because, like you said, Silent Bob does not speak. Silent Bob can speak, and in every movie he speaks about once, usually to do a little monologue or the voice of reason bit, but more often than not, Silent Bob is silent. Mm-hmm. Please remember also that Silent Bob is played by Kevin Smith himself. I cannot stress that enough. It will come up again at the end of this movie. By the end, I mean the last 30 minutes, because God forbid I ever get anything good in my life. The Mallrats guy tells them that apparently the reason Saban Films has done all this is to reboot the Blunt Man and Chronic franchise with a new star-studded movie. They also do a bit about how reboots of movies are tired, and they go on and on and on about how reboots are bad for minutes before all 3 of them literally look down the barrel of the camera and shrug while an Animaniacs sound cue plays.
Oh, boy.
I hate all of this. I bet if you like Jay and Silent Bob movies and Mallrats, this whole 8-minute scene was very funny for you. For me, not so much. All this bit is for Kevin Smith to talk about the things he likes and make fun of himself for doing exactly what he did, which was a reboot of a beloved property, and it drags on way too long. They rely on this bit about saying, man, reboots are stupid the entire movie. It never stops. God damn.
You can use self-referential humor to escape reality, right?
For an hour and 45 minutes?
Sure.
Oh, I forgot. While the scene winds on in a never-ending cacophony of Kevin Smith filleting himself for the 30 neckbeards that think he's God's gift to filmmaking, the comic guy even goes so far as to tell them that Kevin Smith is directing the reboot of Blunt Man and Chronic.
Gross.
Jay says they still let him make movies after that Walrus shit. Shout out to Tusk for all you Tusk fans.
And there are no Tusk fans. Stop.
I am friends with the world's only Tusk fan.
Kill them.
He loved it.
Gross.
We are treated to a video of Kevin Smith, not as Silent Bob, but Kevin Smith himself, doing a promo video for Blunt Man and Chronic. Isaac, Kevin Smith appears as himself in this movie and also Silent Bob, and I genuinely hate him. And
that's confusing.
Why do you keep doing this to me? Why
Making
do
you watch bad movies?
Doing this movie with this meta shit to me.
I don't try. I think just more movies have meta stuff than you think, and you just hate anything meta.
I don't. It's not that I hate anything meta. I hate trying to explain anything meta when it's easy when you're looking at the screen, but it's hard when you're listening to a guy yell into your headphones.
Oh man!
Apparently, there is now an entire convention based on the Blunt Man and Chronic movie called Chronic Con, which is not at all like Comic Con. Hey, Isaac.
Yeah.
Did you figure out yet that Kevin Smith likes comic books and weed? Have you?
Wait, what?
It's
comic books and weed?
I understand. It's pretty unclear. Jay and if you've never seen a Jay and Silent Bob movie, everything they do revolves around marijuana.
Oh yes,
to the point of exhaustion. If I liked to smoke weed, I imagine I would be exhausted by Jesus Christ. Do something else.
It's a lot of weed. Yeah, and as a former connoisseur of the herbage,
oh my God,
it's a lot.
Never hated you more than that second.
Oh, jeez. I like making you angry.
Yeah, I know you do. Well,
it's
that's
easy
the whole
too.
point of the show. It really is pretty easy. I really need to seek help. Jay and Silent Bob continually mock Kevin Smith, who on the video says they are accepting walk-ons to have a scene in the Blunt Man and Chronic reboot. So Jay and Silent Bob plan to arrive there and confront him for their names back. The two try to get plane tickets, and I'm skipping it. It's very unfunny while they're talking to the woman at the counter. They try to pay in change, it's whatever. They keep mistakenly blaming the movie on Kevin James instead of Kevin Smith, which is yet another crossover into the bizarre Askewniverse that we've created for ourselves.
Oh, God.
We just had Kevin James last week. Also, whenever I say they for Jay and Silent Bob, it's always Jay doing the talking. Since Silent Bob is, as you guessed it, silent, he can talk, and like I said, once every movie he does, we'll get to that soon. But for the most part, he communicates in gestures and facial expressions.
And emojis.
Which is the worst new addition. I'll give Kevin Smith credit. He has a very expressive face, and it's very easy to tell exactly what Silent Bob is thinking at any given moment. Like, looking at Jason Mewes, this would not work in reverse. You could not do Bob and Silent Jay.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith has the exact right face for a character who barely speaks. So I'll give him credit there, because at no point did I look at this and say, what is Silent Bob thinking? Because you know exactly what he's thinking.
Yeah.
He's been doing the character for 20 years, so one would hope he's good at it.
Oh, almost 30 years, baby. We're getting old.
Shit, right. Fuck, I forgot.
No. Silent Bob, I think, is a great character, and Kevin Smith plays him great. And that's the frustrating thing with Kevin Smith, is that he is very talented sometimes.
We're going to talk about him a lot. We're going to talk about a lot. There's a lot of shit to get through before we get to the parts that I think are actually interesting to talk about. But we have to wade through a lot of fucking references to his own shit, weed, and comic books to get there.
Yeah, like how you have to ask a girl out and take her out on a date and have a conversation with her before you get that sweet moonflower.
Are you happy, Sarah? I hope you're happy. You did this. He had forgotten about it. I'm positive he was not going to bring up Moonflower again this time.
I know, I wouldn't have. No.
More jokes here about Silent Bob's weight, since Kevin Smith, like I said, used to be fat and now is not. And really is quite a transformation. He was a big boy. I believe we talked about this transformation in probably Yoga Hosers. He used to just be a fucking fat turd wrapped in a hockey jersey, and now he is very svelte. And I a little envious, because I wish I was svelte, because I'm a fat turd wrapped in clothing I bought 7 years ago that is very much out of style.
Yeah, I was wondering why you were wearing a tuxedo.
It's true. It doesn't fit, bursting at the seams. It's so hot in this room. I could not possibly wear a tuxedo. I would be died by now.
I'm surprised you're not naked again. I wanted to get another glimpse of the glands.
There's no glands. I cut it off. I took a flight.
Oh, damn. I didn't know you had that long of a member.
It was just, they only got the glance.
Okay. Just overshot it a little bit.
Yeah, just a tiny bit. Whatever. Jay and Silent Bob are not allowed. They're on the no-fly list from being in a terrorist organization called capital T, capital C, the Clit, which I'm guessing is a reference to one of their other shit movies because there's a joke, oh, the Clit doesn't exist, and the lady's like, says every boyfriend I ever had. Real funny. The plane lady offers them a rideshare app option instead called Ride Me Now. Isaac, do you get it?
I get it. Sex.
They don't have a credit card, so they steal the number of an angry guy nearby who was screaming on the phone at someone. There's just a man just walking through my yard, just pushing a lawnmower. It's not on. Don't know who he is. Never saw him before. Probably should do something about that, but I'm just going to let it go. The worst thing that's ever happened to the show is me being in front of a window.
Yeah, you're easily distractible. You're like a squirrel.
It's because I don't want to do this.
Oh, boy.
So the two of them are picked up by a nebbish guy they end up calling Merkin. The car scene is decidedly unfunny, and they end up smoking a blunt shaped like Silent Bob that they have to puff on through the penis hole. Merkin has an oven full of tater tots in the car and mentioned he's a failed inventor of hater tots, tater tots for teenage girls, which unfortunately got co-opted by like the KKK. Isaac, do you get it?
Yeah, I think I get it.
Great. We get a fourth wall-breaking scene here from Matt Damon, who was apparently Loki in Dogma. He talks about Dogma, what happened after Dogma, and I don't give a fuck about Dogma, so fuck this and fuck you. I swear to God, Isaac, I'll hang up. Don't do it. And it's going to throw off the entire recording, which you'll have to fix, so don't do it. Apparently, in the View Askewniverse, Alanis Morissette is God, which I suppose is the only marginally funny thing that could have possibly come out of that movie. Matt Damon is looking old.
Yeah.
He's looking old, man. Yeah. Continuing reference city, Jay and Silent Bob stop in Chicago on the way to Hollywood and stop at a Moobies, which is the fast food chain that everyone worked at in Clerks 2. Merkin, the driver, is upset they were smoking weed in the car. Apparently, he thought it was cigarettes. I'm just going to blaze by that because there's an hour and 40 minutes of movie.
Blaze.
Kill yourself. He never tried weed before, so they gave him one of the magic joints, which they're not actually magic. They're just supposed to be really strong. And even then, it never really comes up, except for like the very end of the movie, because like...
Yeah. If you smoke too much, it doesn't come up. Do you get it?
I hope you're proud of yourself.
I am. I'm also erect.
So they give Merkin the joint and go inside the Moobies, which outside Merkin gets immediately arrested by the cops in a scene I'm sure they thought was funny, but really isn't. So the boys aren't aware he gets arrested and his car gets towed. But he does. Jay won't order... I'm sorry. The movie's employee is played by Kate Micucci, I think. Her name is actually pronounced Micucci. I know you'd start laughing at that.
She's a woman.
She's a woman I definitely recognize from stuff, but I couldn't think of anything she was in the moment. If you saw her, you would recognize her, but I can't picture what she's in. I didn't look it up because there's so many actors. We've barely begun. She's a woman. Let me just blow through this whole thing super quick because, again, there's just a lot of references that aren't super funny. Jay won't order Silent Bob's veggie meal because Jay is an asshole. So Silent Bob holds up an eggplant emoji to question the waitress for vegetables. Because of the eggplant's association with the penis, she assumes he is attempting to fuck her. She pulls a knife on him and summons her manager, played by Kevin Smith's wife. Upon being told an eggplant is a dick thing, she takes Silent Bob to the back room and fucks him because... Sure.
Well, okay.
Leaving the bathroom, they do the go into different doors at the same time so they don't cross paths bit there between Jay and Silent Bob. Jay notices the news is on and the hot weather woman is named Justice Falcon. Apparently, she and Jay had a thing in the past, as suddenly he has like a montage where she is sexy dancing in front of a bunch of CGI eggplants and weed leaves while in real life he's violently humping the counter. Well, in the montage, he shows up and she starts banging him in the ass, apparently. I mean, it's very, like, PG, banging in the ass.
Yeah, but still.
When Silent Bob returns from being, I suppose, technically raped, Jay excitedly points out Justice, the weather woman, as Kitty Boo Boo Fuck.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
He tells the fast food woman that, quote, I used to knock boots with the weather lady. which I admit is a phenomenal metaphor for sex that I had completely forgotten about and plan to start using again immediately.
Gonna have to start wearing boots during sex.
If nothing else from this movie, I love the line, "I used to knock boots with the weather lady." Fucking 10 out of 10. Well done, Kevin Smith. Thank you for reminding me that existed.
Is that why you gave this film 9 out of 10?
It's not a 9 out of 10. You high fucking hockey-loving piece of shit.
Yeah, it's smoking the doobies, man.
Oh my god, I hate it. I hate it. So the boys head off to leave, but find their ride is gone. Not knowing Merkin got arrested, they leave him a terrible review on Fantasy Uber that I've already forgotten the name of. Somehow they find out where Kitty Boo Boo Fuck lives. Yes, she has a real name, but Jay refers to her as Kitty Boo Boo Fuck, and I'm going to just keep saying it, so hopefully one day Kevin Smith hears this and winces and is like, man, that was pretty dumb, huh? He won't. He thinks he's a genius, I'm sure, because he fillets himself for an hour and 45 minutes a movie. They find out where she lives and just show up. I don't know how. She is shocked to see them and faints immediately. A masked girl in a school uniform and a hockey stick knocks them out and ties them up in the house. Kitty Boo Boo Fuck just hang on. Kitty Boo Boo Fuck seems happy to see them, though still very stunned by their sudden return into her life. Whatever tawdry life she lived before with Jay and Silent Bob, which seems like every person they touched lives some sort of fantastical fantasy life of nonsensical adventure. She has since turned her life around and is now married. Jay is distressed that she has left him behind, but she mentions that Jay never once visited her in jail, which he says he apparently didn't do because they couldn't fuck. Instead of being outraged by this, like a normal human being, she is relieved because she thought he was mad at her. So, yeah. Hey, thanks a lot, Kev.
Okay.
Great message there. Yep. He's the hero. Jay is our hero. Fuck. So cut to the chase. She had a baby, and you guessed it, Jay is the father. And their daughter is the one who beat the two of them up and tied them up in the living room. He wants to know why she didn't tell him so they could be a family. She says that Jay is a good guy, but he is not family material because all he ever needed was Silent Bob and weed and couldn't possibly be a father. Now, I know I'm kind of glossing over Jay and Silent Bob's personalities and life, but yeah, that is accurate. Jay is a wastrel's wastrel. Other wastrels would spit on the ground at Jay's feet if he walked past them.
Wastrel.
So Kitty Boo Boo Fuck kept the daughter from him all these years, but wants Jay to meet her now. This scene with Kitty Boo Boo Fuck, again, thanks, Kev, for that, telling him, like, that he is a fun, good guy, and, but he's, like, not a father, clearly. But she, like, doesn't, it's weird to me that she just is like, oh, thank God, I thought it was my fault you didn't visit me in jail instead of you just being an asshole. That is, I don't like that.
Yeah, that's weird.
The scene, it's an important scene we'll get to. We'll touch back on again later of her telling him, like, she's not mad that he got her pregnant and that she's not mad about his inability to be a father, which is important. We'll get to in the end. So she wants Jay to meet her now, the daughter, but she insists that Jay not reveal that he's the father because she just doesn't want. I don't really know the reason, but she makes him promise, which he reluctantly agrees to. Isaac, you'll never guess who plays the daughter.
Kevin Smith's daughter?
You got it. It's none other than Harley Quinn Smith. Actual name. Real life daughter of Kevin Smith. Much like Tim Burton, Kevin Smith sure does like to draw from the same well. Bowels of Movie Night superfans will remember Harley Quinn Smith as Big Nose from the Yoga Hosers review way back in episode 6, because Isaac only values women for their breeding qualities and their ability to make him sandwiches. I can't bring myself to call a woman Big Nose for the entire review, and since there's no counterpart Little Nose to talk about also, I'm going to call her HQ because she's named after a cartoon clown, and I think it's important to remember that.
That makes sense. And in my defense, it was only because there was the, vast dichotomy between the noses.
I am just teasing, Isaac. You're not that awful. But I
do
tell
like
you what,
good stock, though.
I couldn't remember which one she... Well, see, that's just why I don't need to say anything nice about you, because you'll think your own grave for me.
Like that. That's how our relationship will end.
I wasn't sure which one she was, because I'm not going to lie. This is not a jokey thing or a thing just about movies. I don't, take stock of people's features. I could not describe, if you asked me to describe a person, if you asked me to, if you committed a crime and the sketch artist was like, can you describe him for the sketch artist? I could not describe you. Like, I am like, it's not face blindness because I recognize people, but I like am incapable of remembering like people's specific features at all. Totally. My girlfriend, I couldn't describe her. I couldn't describe what she looks like.
I wonder if it's like a different version of face blindness.
I don't know, because like I truly have like no ability to put into words what a human being looks like. It's very odd, like a face. I've never been able to do that, and I've always been like astounded other people can. Like I couldn't, I see them very clearly. I could describe their hair color and maybe the eye color of people, and that's about it.
I never notice eye color.
I kind of stopped too because it's a thing that matters for middle school dating and nothing else. So I'm gonna call, like I said, I'm gonna call Harley Quinn Smith HQ. Her character's name is Millennium, and considering her mom's name is Justice Falcon, her full name in the movie is Millennium Falcon.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, but I digress. HQ is in her bedroom with another girl who is deaf named Sopapilla, with like the Spanish treat. I am going to call her Soap because that's easier and I like one-syllable words.
Does she look clean?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Kitty Boo Boo Fuck introduces Jay and Silent Bob to them without telling HQ who they are. They interact and it's not funny. Apparently HQ is a straight A student with a full ride, so despite springing from the loins of a loser's loser, she is brilliant. She is also a moody teenage girl and acts as such with all the tact that Kevin Smith knows how to write. Kitty Boo Boo Fuck mentions the two of them are going to Chronic Con, and HQ and Soap get very excited and clearly start scheming. Kitty Boo Boo Fuck's spouse arrives, and surprise, it's a woman. She is played by Rosario Dawson, which, if you're familiar with Clerks 2, is sort of weird considering that Rosario Dawson is in that movie as a different character who is pregnant by Dante, the main character of Clerks. So,
she's playing a different? That's weird.
Yeah, why did they recast her? I don't really understand. Like, so...
Kev, come on.
In his earlier movies, some of these people have played multiple characters. Like, I think Ben Affleck is like a different character. I think he's the villain in Mallrats, but he is the protagonist, not hero, in Chasing Amy. So like this, he has done this before. Weird to do it now in like the Avengers Endgame View Askewniverse movie, you know? Like, why are you recasting Rosario Dawson, who is great? I'm a fan of hers. Why are you recasting her into a very side role when Clerks 3 is coming out with Rosario Dawson in it as her original character? I think her name was Becky, something with a B. But she's a totally different character in this. I don't really understand why, but my guess is that she just she wasn't available the day they were filming all the Clerks references, I guess. Because I don't really know. Well, because most of Kevin Smith's friends who aren't Ben Affleck have real careers. No, I'm sorry, the other way around. Don't have real careers and are available at a moment's notice, whereas Ben Affleck is like, well, I can give you like 20 minutes in between Batman tapings, you know.
Because Johnny Depp was in Tusk?
Yeah, well, Tusk is not part of this. Tusk is not part of the View universe.
But I'm just thinking, because Kevin Smith is also friends with Depp, and Depp had a very small role, and it was like, we have 2 days to film this. I have a weekend.
He was in Tusk and Yoga Hosers.
Oh, okay.
He was the same character. He's
like a detective.
Yeah, I could, if given enough time, I could think of his name, but I can't now. But yeah, he was like a detective / walrus hunter / Nazi killer. I don't really know those. God, I hate Kevin Smith.
I've forgotten those movies.
I sadly did not forget Tusk because my girlfriend at the time also loved it, so I saw it like 4 times.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's not good. So yeah, little odd that Rosario Dawson's another character here, but whatever. So I don't. She meets Jay and Silent Bob, blah blah blah. And she and Kitty Boo Boo Fuck head off to wherever, leaving this movie behind. Thank God. The soundtrack in this movie is sort of a mixed bag, but quick shout out to the song in the background of this scene. I really, really like it. It's called "Loser" by Mob Rich. It's seriously less than 2.5 minutes long. It's worth a listen. It's a good tune, great lyrics, and it really fits the characters here. So it's a really nice choice, and I dig the hell out of it. And they're an unknown band, so you know they think that song has like 50,000 listens on YouTube, which is nothing. So you know if we can throw them a couple listens, hey, good.
You should send me a link.
I will completely forget. I really like that song. So Jay and so they are about to leave, and they are confronted by HQ and Soap, who demand that the boys take the boys. Fuck. They are confronted by HQ and Soap, who demand the boys take them with to Hollywood. That was way too hard to say.
I'm confused.
The girls want to go with the boys to Hollywood. Jay and Silent Bob refuse, as Hollywood is a shitty, awful place that is too tough for them. The girls draw switchblades and threaten to stab them to death and tell the cops they tried to break in to the house of Chicago's beloved lesbian weather lady, which seemed like a weird point to put on it, but okay. So Jay and Silent Bob reluctantly agree so as not to get stabbed. Jay tells her not to threaten people, and she says, "You can't tell me what to do. You're not my father." Isaac, do you get it?
But he is her father, but she doesn't know.
We're on page 5 of 12.
Oh, God almighty.
Fuck. I don't even think we're halfway through the movie yet. In the car sometime later, the boys are crammed into the back seat with HQ while Soap manages the radio. Jay is irritated because Soap is deaf and is still in charge of the music, and HQ is like, she has better taste than you ever would, and I actually have no idea how that works, and Googled, can deaf people feel music, and then felt immediately silly and decided just to let it go before I spent literally 6 hours reading old studies about can deaf people feel vibrations and know it as music, so I truly do not know.
I think that's because Beethoven went deaf. I think that's what he would do. Like, he'd put his balls on the piano and like pluck out the notes or whatever.
That is what I heard, but I don't actually know if it's true. And I realized if I started looking into it, I spent 5 straight hours on this review, and I didn't want to make it 6 because I spent another one looking into for a character that truly does not matter. Like, Soap is really unimportant. Like, she's matters for one scene, and the fact that she's deaf is the only reason she's there, which we'll get to. We have a lot to say about her and these other girls coming up too. But anyway, we got some of the very tired trope of one person doesn't know that the other person has a secret about the first person, as HQ is talking about her dildos and strap-ons to a very uncomfortable Jay. To shut him up, she offers him weed, which basically breaks his mind because he knows a child shouldn't have weed, but he is also basically a weed plant come to life. Apparently, Soap lives on a deaf commune that grows, quote, the world's best weed. Jay stops HQ from smoking the weed, and the two fight about it some more. She relents and offers Jay and Silent Bob some chocolate, which they foolishly eat. The chocolate, of course, is spiked with weed because Isaac didn't know if you were aware of this, but Kevin Smith likes weed, and it features in every joke he's ever written. The two of them get high off their asses and pass out from the extremely potent amount of weed they've eaten. They wake up in a shared vision in the back of a car being driven by Method Man and Red Man, the stars of How High, a weed movie that Jay, Silent Bob, and Kevin Smith all love. Blah, blah, blah. This is like the Jacob Marley vision of this movie. I guess that's not the right term. It's like they're the spirit quest guides who guide Jay to a better life, basically.
What is happening?
Isaac, 5 of 12.
I have no idea what's going on in this movie.
They're trying to go to California to stop the Blunt Man and Chronic reboot, and he meets his daughter accidentally along the way.
Okay.
Jay asks for advice about how to be a dad, and the two rappers give him the advice to not let his daughter end up like him. That's pretty good advice considering, again, wastrel's wastrel. The two of them wake up from their drug coma in the middle of the street in the middle of nowhere. Bob is lying spread eagle in the middle of the road, and Jay's head is positioned right over his cock, but with his pants down and his ass hanging out because Jason Mewes loves having his pants off. In fairness, so do I, but I don't like cameras involved.
We'll work on that.
Jay is fuming that someone might have seen him, and a Muslim girl with a hijab shows up. Excuse me, I'm sorry, my soul is trying to escape out of my mouth.
Send it to a cancer kid.
Yeah. A Muslim girl with a hijab shows up with Soap out of the nearby trees. This character's name, and I wish I was kidding, is Jihad. Apparently she is friends with HQ. There's also a Chinese girl present with them now who is speaking into a fancy schmancy microphone named Shan Yu. Long story short, these 4 girls are part of the gang going to Hollywood with Jay and Silent Bob now. Shan Yu creepily speaks Chinese into her microphone, into her weird microphone, for allegedly a podcast about American capitalism gone wild or some shit. She understands English but can't speak it. Since they have too many people, they need to upgrade to a van, and there's none on the Fantasy Uber app, apparently, so they're going to steal one. The method of stealing a van is called Operation Predator Editor. It has several phases, but long story short, HQ took a bunch of pictures of her puss and put them on a pedophile predator website, lured a man, not a joke, that's what the movie does, lured a man with a van to them, and then comedy happens as they steal the van as Jay pulls the guy out from the van and angrily kicks his ass. The pedophile is wearing, I can't believe I'm saying this, Dom DeLuise's superhero costume from Cannonball Run.
What is happening?
But, which is, I'm ashamed to say I recognized before they revealed that's what it was, because my life has been a comedy of errors. But for considering he's a pedophile, it doesn't really matter. As long as he gets his ass kicked, who cares? So the group now has a van. Later on, Jay is admonishing HQ for putting herself in danger as she's a rich girl who went to private school and not familiar with the seedier corners of the world that he is. Jihad tells a story about a boy touching her nipple in her home country against her will, and her brother then tried to smother her for bringing dishonor upon the family, so her mother sent her to the U.S. I just want to talk about this just for a minute.
Yeah, okay.
So there was a sudden and depressingly sad and brutal turn that this took. Jay and Silent Bob are a joke. Like, everything about them is a joke. They usually have, like, the Jerry Springer final thoughts, like, wrap up, sort of like, hey, you know, Silent Bob usually has some, like, insight about life, and Jay usually has some sort of, like, well, he kind of has the right idea that people take things too seriously, you don't need to. This is a weird turn into, like,
yeah,
what's wrong with... I'm going to just basically blame this one on religion, because basically it fuels the culture that would lead to such a thing there. Now, Isaac and I are not fans of religion, as we've said, even in this episode, we bring up all the time.
Indeed.
I usually limit that to Christianity, because that's what I grew up with and I'm most familiar with. But, yeah, all religion, I feel, is bad, because, I mean, look at the world.
Yeah.
I have a lot of issues with it that need to be addressed. And yeah, speaking of need to be addressed, this is what happened to Jihad here. Fucking Jihad. Thanks, Kev. The character Jihad here it's an awful thing that I'm sure happens in real life all the time. But Jay and Silent Bob, maybe not the avenue I expected to be trying to address this.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not sure that Jay is the one I expected to have a sobering revelation about the wrongs in society. I sort of a left turn, considering what we're going to find out the meat of the HQ storyline is, which is not nearly as brutal. And by the way, this story is the only reason Jihad exists. Kevin Smith has a problem with representation of a lot of things, and it's going to come up as we go on.
Yeah. It'd be like mentioning women getting stoned to death in the Middle East in a SpongeBob episode. Like, no, don't do it there. That's a thing that society ought to talk about. But place and time. Like,
it cheapens it when it's to Jay and Silent Bob, weed
Very
leaves
much.
come to life. Like, it's sort of, they're not going to do anything about it. So I don't know what to do with it. Like, what were you thinking, man? Like, I don't know. And the fact that Jihad has no other reason for being there other than
her
to
name is Jihad is that he's obviously not taking any of this very seriously.
Well, it's that whole bit. I went by it because who gives a fuck? But the whole reason she's named Jihad is that when Jay wakes up in the middle of the street, and he like sees her come out of the woods, he's like, "Look out, a terrorist!" And then HQ is like, a fucking old white guy thinks a Muslim girl is a terrorist, but her name is Jihad, so take that for what it's worth. Like, that's the whole joke there.
Yeah.
And which is needless. And the fact that she exists for that story and, like, to give HQ someone her age to talk to occasionally. Because Shan Yu doesn't speak English and Soap is deaf. And I guess they didn't want to have too much of, like, subtitles or sign language. I don't really know, but we're going to talk about the girls later because there's a lot to talk about. But it just was a very left field revelation that was really like, oh dear, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. So after that, Jay sort of fumbles through agreeing with her, but like agreeing with Jihad that like her brother's a piece of shit and she, her mother did the right thing by sending her to America. And the conversation quickly then shifts to the girls talking about wanting to fuck the shit out of Chris Hemsworth. Having heard my girlfriend groan similar things in the middle of the night while she's asleep and twice during lovemaking, I can fully understand and agree with this assessment, as Chris Hemsworth is also on my list of men that if they asked, there's a 90% chance I'd go down on them in McDonald's bathroom if they wanted. So, a lot of hunks in this flick.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess we're going to get to it shortly. Jay takes them to another movie's drive-thru, and the girls are all vegan, because of course they are, nothing of value here. Jay yells at Shan Yu for being creepy as she mumbles in Chinese the whole time, like into her microphone. The girls then tell him they are taking Shan Yu to Chronic Con after first berating Jay and Silent Bob for thinking the girls ever needed them in the first place. Because Jay is like, well, I'm fucking driving you here, aren't I? I'm not such a piece of shit. And they're like, we didn't need you. You just happened to show up and made it easier to get a van. So... it's, how do I put this? It's the whole thing with these four group of girls is very girl power, and old white men are stupid, but very ham-fisted, like a big meaty Kevin Smith fist, for example. The girl group is like extremely stereotypical. Now, given the fact this is a Jay and Silent Bob movie, sure, that tracks, but I get the feeling these girls are meant to sort of be empowered young women that don't need Jay and Silent Bob to help solve their problems or anything. But that said, it just seems forced. Like, don't get me wrong, they're written fine for what they are. I mean, it's nothing crazy out of the park. It feels like somebody wrote the skeleton of a scene and then when filling in the details said, okay, how can we make it so these girls are very much the heroes and 100% correct and totally left-wing in every scene we do? Like, they're not written like people, they're written like a Reddit stereotype, if that makes any sense. Like, it's not a bad thing, it's a very obvious thing. I don't know how to explain this exactly. Like
Smith is trying to get woke points?
Yes. Sort of. But I don't know that I don't think he's doing it consciously. I feel like, I don't know. And now it's going to get to the point where I'm accidentally maligning because I don't know. This is what I am gathering. Like, and this is just what it feels like to me personally. They feel less three-dimensional and more performatively woke. And that might not be the case. That's just how it came off to me. It feels very specific and deliberate. Like, Kevin Smith is aware that his view Askewniverse is not a joke. Entirely white people who are, with one exception or two exceptions, straight. And this group of hero girls that are with his daughter, of course his daughter is the leader, it's his daughter and her rainbow of differently abled friends who are very woke to the point of being exasperating. Like, I'm not trying to accuse Kevin Smith of anything. If he's learning, great. Lord knows I don't know how to write, and I don't know how I'd approach this topic either. So I'm sure it's not easy. You wanted to mix it up, great, but it just stands out to me because it feels all very formulaically written when it comes to these girls.
I feel like Smith being like an old Gen Xer and like existing in the world now, he's like, oh, right, I guess I should, get some of this, shoehorn some of this in.
It feels like the corporate equivalent of changing your logos to rainbows for Pride Month.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good thing, but also it feels like he's doing it like from a recipe. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think describe the because Coca-Cola will change its logo to a rainbow flag, and it's like, fuck, the Coke executives don't give a fuck about this.
Exactly. And I don't think Kevin Smith does not seem like a bad human being. I feel like he just doesn't understand and tried, and it turned out very lame, in my opinion.
Yeah. The logo thing, it's a good thing. I'm glad they're doing it. It's better than not doing it. But yeah, it just feels a little disingenuous or like performative. Yeah,
it really feels performative, but it doesn't feel like he's doing. I know certain like podcasts I listen to, certain things that I consume, that people do very performative woke shit for points. I don't think he's doing it for points. I think he's doing it because he knows he has to, but he doesn't know how to do it in a way that like doesn't seem obvious, like woke points, hammering a button. Again, I'm not trying to malign him. He at least tried. I get the feeling
better than nothing.
They're so self-contained and so matter so little to this movie that I feel it's very much the case of, well, we all know why I'm doing this. And it's whatever, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if someone else watches this and tells me I'm wrong, I'm willing to accept that I'm wrong. But that's the feeling I get watching the girls interact. Mm-hmm. Just when they're like, we're all vegan. Well, of course you're all vegan. You're written by Kevin Smith. Like, you know what I mean? So, Well, anyway, and as if to buttress my rant, Jay then proceeds to describe HQ as a reboot version of Kitty Boo Boo Fuck from the original Jay and Silent Bob movie, I'm guessing, and just added diversity to her group. So, whatever, I guess.
Now it's meta.
But yes, the girls are taking Shan Yu to Chronic Con while she has a week left on her visa, as apparently Blunt Man and Chronic is her favorite movie. Jay calls HQ out for being a straight-A student and blowing up her future over something as stupid as going to a convention. Jay then says that HQ is the only normal one of the bunch. Gonna let that go? But HQ tells them they all met in an online support group of... Isaac, guesses?
Vegans?
Girls online who never met their dads.
Oh my god.
HQ is clearly very perturbed by this. She starts crying. The girls all say their dads left them before they were born. Jay counters that you don't need a father, but HQ says if Jay had never really grown up without a dad, then you know you will never be okay, because you will always be haunted by the question of why didn't he love me enough to stick around. Jay becomes visibly upset about this and starts to tear up a little, saying he knew her dad and her dad was an asshole, so she's better off not knowing him as he was a piece of shit. So that takes us to the crux of this movie, Isaac, which is a story about fatherhood and an estranged daughter. There's going to be a lot to talk about at the end of this, but I will point out here that I do think that after this point in the van, the movie markedly improves. This is about the halfway point. Yes, there's still a lot of hate about this, and once Kevin Smith himself trundles onto stage, he's the same insufferable dick cheese I never liked. And yes, once they reach the con itself, it's basically a nonstop barrage of Askewniverse references. But oh god, I'm dying. I do think the beating heart at the center of this movie, which is the relationship between HQ and Jay, was a very smart move overall. I do think it's a bit much to have HQ have this weird, I'm fucked up because I never met my dad energy, but I get where it's coming from and why. I just think that, again, the ham fist of Kevin Smith is very present all over. The fine details are good. The wide swaths are very, I make a right now. I make a right a movie now. But, like, the fine details are, I think, very well done in a certain case.
It's awkward, too, because HQ is actually Kevin Smith's daughter.
Yeah, but guess what? They're going to make several jokes about that. Wait until Kevin Smith himself wanders onto the set. Well, besides being Silent Bob.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
I also don't want to do that. Oh, God. Anyway, Merkin, their former Uber driver, suddenly reappears, standing on the roof of their van. He chased them down, and I don't know why I bothered. Merkin shows up and throws hater tots at them and then gets knocked out, and life goes on. We never see him again.
Right.
The girls
Hater
take the van. That's it. The girls take the van and leave him behind. The boys steal Merkin's car and give chase, ending up finding the van a ways away at a KKK rally. So the Klan has kidnapped the girls and plans on, I guess, killing them? I'm not really sure. It's never really clear. The Klan leader is played by a professional wrestler that I used to love, unfortunately turned a wrestler hanger-on for a bit too long, and open Donald Trump supporter Chris Jericho.
Oh, that fellow.
Jay and Silent Bob go to rescue the girls. Silent Bob has his speaking appearance here as he dons a Klan hood and pretends to be like a high echelon of Klan leader, giving orders like he's one of them, basically just confusing the Klansmen long enough for Jay to rescue the girls and also hook up a porta potty to the back of the van and Tokyo drift a bunch of literal human shit onto the Klansmen. So that happened. I'm guessing Kevy got the idea from Blues Brothers, where James and Elwood take on the Klan. Look, I love seeing the Klan get their comeuppance as much as anybody, sure, but this all seemed very pointless.
I'm also uncomfortable with Chris Jericho playing the Klan leader.
It seemed like needless padding so Kev could meet Chris Jericho, yes.
And, like, is Chris Jericho in the Klan?
No. Look, I thought about making a joke about Chris saying, I already have the costume. But, I mean, he's just a guy who made some stupid tweets. He donated... Listen, it's hard for me to take Chris Jericho even seriously as a Donald Trump supporter because he donated $3,000. Like, it's such a stupidly low amount.
Right, yeah.
It's like, he could have dropped that into a fucking, like, a guy ringing a bell at Christmas time for the Salvation Army. Like, it's such a stupidly low amount. It's just, I don't, Chris Jericho's just more of like, oh, you fucking moron. You're just getting old. Like, he's not Kevin Sorbo tweeting 12 times a day about, how Biden is eating babies' brains out of their skulls. So,
Okay,
by the way,
that makes me feel a little better.
no, he just did a couple of tweets that were very like, "Oh, you stupid fucking idiot," and donated $3,000 to Donald Trump's campaign. Very rich man. By the way, speaking of Kevin Sorbo, it's funny. My best friend and I do a weekly Thursday dinner, and he mentioned that apparently Kevin Sorbo had like a stroke, and that's when he started going like crazy. So maybe there's a reason for him like legitimately losing his goddamn mind about
Done broke
politics.
his brain.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess Kev just wanted to meet Chris Jericho. Whatever. I mean, Chris Jericho was a guy who I thought was one of the coolest people in wrestling for a long time. Not so much anymore. So the gang is all reunited and takes off to get back to Hollywood. HQ apologizes for leaving them behind and thanks them for saving their lives from the Klan. And she and Jay have a tender moment together where they talk some more about dad stuff, as she still wants to meet her father and hang out and drink coffee together. Jay looks conflicted, like he wants to tell her the truth, but ultimately doesn't, instead telling her that he met God and God is Alanis Morissette. I guess that's the plot of Dogma, but I don't want to know, and don't you fucking dare. All right.
Alanis Morissette is very good.
I like
in that
Alanis
movie.
Morissette a lot. I have no issue. Her being God is a very funny bit.
She plays a great God.
I believe it. All right, Chronic Con. It's Comic Con but drugs. That's my review. There's a bunch of people dressed up like Jay and Silent Bob, also like Blunt Man and Chronic. It's basically a Jay and Silent Bob convention, which I'm pretty sure is what Kevin Smith has dreamed about every time he came into his lovely wife over the last 20 years. There's a whole bit with, I am almost positive at some point in his mind, Kevin Smith said to himself, well, if they're not going to do a Jay and Silent Bob convention, I'm going to fucking do it. Almost positive. I imagine he walked around the set all day with a massive boner. Look, we're going to find out at the end of this review that I've softened on Kevin Smith quite a bit. He absolutely loves himself, and you cannot convince me any other way. The man, he must think he is God's gift to filmmaking. And he's not terrible, but fuck does he love his own work.
It might be good to love yourself, because neither of us do.
Well, I think there's a certain amount of, you should like yourself. I'd like to at least like myself. I'd like to want to be with myself for more than 5 minutes. But yeah, I don't know that this level of fucking self-wankery is necessary.
If you met your doppelganger, what would your instinct be?
Kill him.
Okay, good.
And here's why. Because I know in his mind he's thinking the same thing. There can't be more than one of me. We're the worst. No, absolutely not.
Marry, fuck, kill with your own doppelganger.
Kill. There is no one in this world that I hate more than myself. And if you think I want to see another one of me running around making the same mistakes I do in stereo, absolutely not. He is going to die, or I am going to die, or we're going to go back to the status quo. And I know he wants the same thing, so clearly it's war for the first sight. There's a whole bit with Funko Pops and action figures here, etc., etc. It's the Kevin Smith wet dream experience simulator. There's a Chris Hemsworth hologram who is mildly funny here, because Chris Hemsworth is very talented, where he's like, hi, I'm Chris Hemsworth, and I'm contractually obligated to be in this hologram. Please don't hump the hologram. You get laser burns on your penis or whatever genitalia. He's like, please don't take pictures of yourself talking to it and say something stupid, like when you're going to fuck me until I'm Thor, or, which is a joke that HQ made earlier in the movie. It's a funny little bit. Chris Hemsworth is very talented. But the whole, unfortunately, it's ruined by what Kevin Smith thinks is funny the whole time is HQ and Jihad like violently doing like thrusting, like hip thrusts, while there's like a music playing, like Bomb Chicka Wow Wow music basically playing behind them, which really takes away from the comedy of Chris Hemsworth like very boredly telling people not to fuck his hologram. So I hate you, Kevin Smith. So yeah, baby, if you're listening, I thought about you the entire time I masturbated to Chris Hemsworth. The whole time, the group takes Shan Yu over to the line to be an extra in the movie. Jay and Silent Bob then reveal they are actually here to stop the reboot from happening. Jay and HQ argue since their two groups are now technically at odds, but Jay gives her the last of the magic joints to remember him by. It's touching in a weed sort of way. Jay hugs her, and sad music plays, and I feel a tang of emotion because fatherhood stories get me every time, but again, we'll get to that near the end. Jay starts to cry as he compliments her for being amazing, and then she starts to cry, and then I'm fucking getting choked up because Isaac, my emotions are all messed up, so everybody shut the fuck up. I did not cry, but I did come very close. That gets ruined immediately when next scene, Jay and Silent Bob try to go meet all the celebrities involved with the movie and are stopped by a security guard played by that one unfunny guy from the Drew Carey show. And this scene is so distressingly unfunny, I'm going to ignore it ever happened. We're getting to the point of the movie where we're just going to get a machine gun fire of cameos from other Kevin Smith View Askew projects.
Oh boy,
Some
ready.
by the real celebrities playing the cameos or by the actors from the former Kevin Smith movies. And I'm just going to go past most of them without comment because it's just so long already. The security guard espouses the brilliance and genius of actors and podcasters and their importance. He is distracted by an arriving Keith Coogan from a movie called Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, which is something they keep referencing in this movie, but I didn't even know it existed. I've never even heard of it before, so I don't know. There's a bunch of references here that were, I guess, funny if you like that. I don't know. So Jay and Silent Bob sneak by. They duck into the panel that is, quote-unquote, the real Jay and Silent Bob, played by James Van Der Beek and Jason Biggs. Van Der Beek is the worst last name of all time besides Beard and Hitler. That's my review. The actors are playing themselves, and I guess have something to do with Blunt Man and Chronic. I think what it is that what I've gathered in the original Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, these two were Blunt Man and Chronic in the movie that Jay and Silent Bob were trying to stop that time, is my guess. I don't care.
I just want to circle back to Hitler real quick.
Yeah, sure.
I have a coworker whose last name is Spitler, and every time I would just picture Hitler spitting cum up into a napkin.
Why a napkin?
I don't know, a tissue, whatever he's got on hand. I wasn't thinking of like a fine napkin that you put out on Christmas dinner with the china.
It's not like a linen napkin. In my head, it was monogrammed. This is my cum napkin.
I do not swallow.
Oh, well, yeah, he wouldn't, would he? He's Hitler. Seriously, it goes Hitler, Van Der Beek, then Beard, of worst last names of all time. Van Der Beek is such a terrible last name. And it's B-E-E-K. It's not even like Duck Beak. Or I guess ducks are the ones that have bills, not beaks. It's not like Cardinal Beak. It's B-E-E-K. So yeah, Jason Biggs, by the way, his character is was among the worst parts of Orange Is the New Black. Ironically, he played a character named Larry in that. That show started great and then got increasingly worse and worse until it ended like a dry, sad fart that tried to say a lot of things and ended up saying nothing. Anyway, Biggs and Van Der Beek make fun of Kevin Smith too because, sure, whatever, Kevin Smith hates himself. I get that. Well, except he loves himself, so this all seems very performative. We get a chase scene as Jay and Silent Bob run through the Comic Book Men panel, a canceled Kevin Smith reality show, which, by the way, I gotta point out, looked horrible. I remember seeing commercials for that and thinking,
oh, geez.
Even before I knew, I was like dimly aware of who Kevin Smith was at that point. And I remember seeing a commercial and being like, oh, fuck no. Not in this lifetime.
Him taking bong rips and cleaning Dorito dust off his hockey jersey?
I truly refuse to look. They run into the Clerks panel, which has all the original actors. And of course, it's all in black and white like the original movie. And Jay and Silent Bob themselves turn black and white and start screaming and run out of it. Isaac, do you get it?
I get it.
They end up running away, and they end up they run away and end up running into Ben Affleck as Holden McNeil, his character from Chasing Amy. Weird because last podcast on the left has a guy in their network called Holden McNeely, which really threw me off the whole time because this character's name is Holden McNeil. So, and this is Ben Affleck as the main character from Chasing Amy. I'm going to give this section, I'm pretty much not going to talk about what happens in it for a lot of reasons. Apparently this whole bit, according to Smith, serves as something of a very short and light wrap-up sequel to Chasing Amy, which is probably Smith's highest-rated movie. I didn't look, so don't tell me if I'm wrong. I saw half of it a long time ago, and it seemed honestly pretty good. I'm led to understand it was well-received, and again, though ham-fisted, it still stands out as probably his best work, and at the time, which I think was 95, thereabouts, a refreshing take on an LGBTQ person without them being the butt of the joke. I haven't seen the entire movie, but I've been familiar with the plot because I read about the parts I didn't get to finish when I fell asleep or whatever what happened. It seems like with most things from the 90s, it doesn't age very well in a lot of areas, and it basically does not present or even understand the concept of bisexuality or fluidity in regards to attraction. But I think that on the whole, it is a sort of accepted as an early bastion for maybe we can tell stories about people with non-straight lifestyles and it not be a joke.
Which for the 90s was progressive, which is sad.
Yeah.
But still.
It's definitely very ham, because I looked up a couple articles because I was interested in like what do people think about this. I understand the complaints about it being bisexuality being totally ignored, but also I feel like again ham-fisted, but he tried. It was for a guy who didn't know what the hell he was talking about. It seems like he did a pretty good job. And I think it's supposed to be a pretty good movie. And there's a lot of reasons why. I think the ending, I think, is excellent. I think it's very well done here. And I think this wrap-up is very good. And it's a very good send-off to that movie, especially. So the entire scene with Affleck, as well as Joey Lauren Adams, who played the female lead, not named Amy. Chasing Amy was a character from Silent Bob's past. But I don't know her name in the movie. Might have been Jessica. I don't remember. It's been a long time. But so this whole scene, because it has both of them, it has Affleck and Affleck. Fuck it. Who cares? Ben Affleck, Batman, as well as Joey Lauren Adams. Like I said, it's sort of a sequel, and that was Kevin Smith's intention. Considering that this section requires intense knowledge of the entirety of the plot of Chasing Amy, and is also, in fact, quite good. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to leave it for if you're a fan to look it up, because I think Chasing Amy is a good movie, and I think this was a good sequel to that movie. Just weirdly in the middle of another movie, you fucking asshole. And I don't know if I mentioned, but Joey Lauren Adams, she won a Golden Globe for her performance as the lead actress in Chasing Amy. It's a tie-in for the Askewniverse. If you like Chasing Amy, you should go look into it. I do think it's nicely done altogether and advances the story of fatherhood with Jay more. Affleck gives Jay some really good advice that sort of reflects the growth of Smith's career and his writing style. One of the things I can say about Kevin Smith is he throws a lot of his own life into his writing, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because he's also a guy who, like I said, likes fucking hockey, weed, and comic books to the disillusion of all other things in this universe. But I didn't know this. The story of Chasing Amy, which I guess I'm going to keep talking about, so I might as well just give the basic story of Chasing Amy is a guy falls in love with a woman who is bisexual by her basically description of herself, but it's not presented very well. She's presented as a lesbian who falls in love with a man, and then sort of trying to deal with the fact of just her sexuality and her past and not being able to deal with that, and also his best friend is gay and dealing with that. And so it's sort of an interesting look into that whole idea of how relationships like that would work. And in that movie, Ben Affleck fucks it up because he's an idiot, and he like ruins a very good thing for himself, and like his whole life gets totally plowed. And he was a dickhead, and like he continued to be a dickhead to the point where everybody who liked him decided he was a toxic influence and abandoned him. Now, 20 years later, his life has evolved, and he is able to give Jay and Bob, by proxy, the advice that Jay needs to have the most in his situation. Like, wow, that was a terribly written sentence. He gives Jay the advice that Jay needs to hear the most right now, and which is basically that Jay needs to grow up. But, and I guess we can talk about it now. This is a part of this movie that I really, really liked, is that they keep encountering these people that, because Jay and Silent Bob are in every Askewniverse movie. And so they've encountered all of these characters. And in fact, in Chasing Amy, Silent Bob tells Ben Affleck the story that is the story that's like, oh shit, I'm a piece of shit. I've been terrible to all these good people in my life. So like they sort of, Jay and Silent Bob have like encountered all of these characters who are now 20 years older. And all these other people have changed, and Jay and Silent Bob have not. And
okay.
Everyone who gives them advice, I really, really like this, because they don't say you need to stop being who you are. They say you need to evolve who you are.
That's a good way to put it.
I have changed and grown a lot in my life from the person I was, even when Isaac and I met, I don't know, 12, 13 years I guess 15 years ago now. Wow, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, 2007, right?
Yeah.
Ugh.
But at my core, I'm still have a lot of the same things that made me who I was. And I feel like a lot of modern entertainment, and, not even modern, just even entertainment in general, there's a whole bit of like, when a character grows and changes, he has to turn into something completely different. And I think there's not a lot of like care given to say that like you don't suck entirely, like you're not the worst person in the universe, you just need to like evolve, because it's different. I think there's like a difference when you're talking about a person growing up and like embracing their age and the changes in the world and the changes in their responsibilities in life. There's a lot of, I think like change isn't the right word and evolve is. I'm really like sort of obsessed with that idea, because you have to, if you try to change like who you are at the very core of your person, like your personality, it's not going to work. You have to like take in the changes of the world around you and the changes in the people you meet and how those people change you, and sort of apply that to yourself and let yourself grow from that. And I really like in this movie how no one ever says to Jay like, oh no, but me says like, oh, you're a wastrel and fucking why don't you get a job? Why don't you start going to church? Why don't you pay your taxes? They're all like, Jay, you're a great guy and you're really fun to be around, but if you want to be a dad, you have to like do some things to be a dad. Like you don't have to stop being Jay, you have to be Jay plus father. And I think that's like I think especially with the way Ben Affleck, because in this whole Chasing Amy sequence here, he has a child now, and he talks about that child and Ben Affleck's, people like him or hate him, he is a talented actor who's been around for a while. He does a really good performance here, and like the way he talks to Jay about how like, yeah, I'm still chasing Amy. That was his whole bit of like, but now Amy is my daughter. Like now he gives a whole thing about how like he learned he's not the main character of a story anymore because his daughter is now the main character of the story and he's a supporting character to her. And just like the way they give Jay advice, everyone, like even Kitty Boo Boo, fuck, god damn you, Kevin Smith, tells him like, Jay, you're great. You're like so much fun. You enrich the lives of the people around you, but like you can't be a father because you're an insane person. But even that, it's like, it's still just like, they never tell him you have to stop being who you are. They tell him like, because he wants to be better. And they say to him, if you want to be better, like here's how you do that, like without saying stop hanging out in front of the video store, which is like the thing he loves to do. I feel like I'm mangling my explanation, but
no, I think I'm following you pretty good. But yeah, just that I don't know.
I feel like, I think it's it's a different way of looking at things, and I really appreciate that they take the time to acknowledge that, Jay's a guy with flaws, but he's a guy who is like, I recognize I have flaws, but I don't know how to fix them. And they're saying like, well, you don't have to change who you are because we like who you are. You just have to change like how you think about certain things and how you act around certain people.
Yeah,
I don't
very
know.
much.
I'm not doing a great job.
Because I really don't think anyone can like completely reinvent themselves and like get rid of, just sort of core beliefs, behaviors, worldviews. But you can definitely evolve is the perfect word where... Yeah. It's a growth and transition and because evolution too, because like it's not like a monkey birthed out a human and everything was hunky dory. It just over 2 million years it was a slow transition. And I think especially watching me and the people around me that I've known for a long time transition from being teenagers to being in around 30 now, or 33.
Right.
But yeah, because everyone's still essentially the same person.
Right.
But
you and I, it's been 15 years now, but we're different people than we were when we first met. But at the core, like, you're still the same person I fell in love with. Like, there's a reason you and I get along so well. And there's a reason, same thing with you and your wife, or me and my girlfriend, any relationship. My relationship with my best friend, I've known him for, 17, 18 years. And they're still at the core. We're the same people that we were attracted to in the first place, but we've just grown. You grow and change and like evolve. And I don't think I did. Thinking back to what I just said, I don't think I did a great job at explaining what exactly I mean. But I really appreciate the way that these characters from Kevin Smith's universe, like, give Jay advice. Mm-hmm. Because it's very congruous with how I think about my own life and my own growth. And even if I didn't do a great job of going through explaining throughout the movie, like how Jay acts and how they, react to him, but I don't know. I really appreciated it, and it's really hard for me to explain why exactly. But I think it's really the story of Jay learning through this movie, like about how to be a father. I think is really, really well done. I don't know how else to put it. But
So that's what really sold it as a 9 out of 10 for you.
No, it was all the weed jokes. You know
Oh,
me,
okay.
I can't smoke enough weed. Okay, so sorry for going off on a weird tangent. I was just really happy about that whole bit. And the rest of the movie is just kind of a shit heap because it is still a Jay and Silent Bob movie. Let's not forget. This is still Jay and Silent Bob. So
Yeah.
we cut
it's almost like this show. Like, we've definitely evolved over time, but it's still a shit heap.
Absolutely. We cut to HQ and the girls who are in line to be extras in Blunt Man and Chronic. They aren't able to be extras as they've reached the limit of extras, but Jay and Silent Bob come in with the VIP badges they got from Affleck and get inside. They go into the Blunt Man and Chronic panel and... Kevin fucking Smith appears on stage as himself. You fucking son of a bitch. You couldn't resist, could you? All right, so he jerks his own dick off on stage for a while all his characters say how much they hate him. HQ says she hates him because he forces his daughter to be in all his movies. Isaac, do you get it? Do you get it? Because it's Harley Quinn Smith, named after a cartoon clown, is Kevin Smith's real daughter. Can you believe it? Ha!
She started her journey in his nutsack.
She was in his balls. My father used to say that to me all the time. It was very weird. I'm glad he's dead.
God, Smith, don't say that to your child.
I'm glad he's dead. Smith blathers on for way too long, over and over. He makes references to his own shit again and again. They show a clip of Blunt Man and Chronic Reboot and it's shitty Batman v Superman with Melissa Benoist, whoever the hell that is.
Been moist?
Benoist. Benoist. I don't know who it is. And Val Kilmer, which is going to sound crazy to you guys, but I also don't know who the hell Val Kilmer is. The only thing I know him from is that Sean Spencer on Psych loves him and talks about him all the time.
He was Batman in the worst maybe not the worst. George Clooney was in the worst. He was in one of the bad Batman movies. He was also in Top Gun and is in the new Top Gun, even though he uses a talk box because he had throat cancer.
He's so old.
Yeah, he's like 60.
I hear people saying the new Top Gun's really good. Top Gun is like the one piece of 80s nostalgia everyone loves that I haven't seen. I've never seen a second of it. It doesn't seem like something I would like. Also,
the new one's supposed to be great. I'm curious.
It has like a 96 or something on Rotten Tomatoes.
Exactly.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of nostalgia feel with that there. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those movies, if you didn't watch it in either as a kid or in the 80s, it's not good. But
maybe not.
I guess,
also, I don't give that much of a fuck about planes. So
no, I don't either. Also, or Tom Cruise. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like supporting his stuff, although he's pretty good at acting, at least.
Yeah.
He does his job well. He's just a creep.
Fucking the worst. Oh, why is it always the creeps? We're good at acting. So this whole clip is very unfunny and I hate it. The movie version of Alfred is played by Tommy Chong because weed. Everybody in the crowd, including the girls and Jay and Silent Bob, love the reboot. Apparently the scene being filmed here today involves Chronic Con being invaded. HQ notices that Silent Bob and Kevin Smith look alike. Hey, Isaac, do you get it? Do you fucking get it?
Oh, because Kevin Smith plays Jay, right?
Yes, you got it. He plays
Okay,
Jay.
great. Okay, yeah. All right.
Fucking idiot. So Smith leaves stage to go get high because, of course, he does. Of course, Kevin Smith is fucking... God, I don't care about him. In the dressing room, Smith and Bob do the mirror thing where they mimic each other's actions in the mirror. You get it. You've seen it before. HQ knocks Smith out, and she and Bob, as Smith, come on stage and pretend to be him. Hey, Isaac, if you ever give me a movie that has this much fucking meta shit again, I'm going to shit in a box every day and mail you that shit every day until you literally drown in my own shit.
I didn't know it was going to be meta. With the Penn Jillette movie, I knew it was going to be meta.
With what?
I think you're suffering from memory loss.
What are you talking about?
I'm suffering from memory loss. I haven't touched a boobie in a while.
How's your wife?
She's been better since I haven't been groping her. Been busy.
It's good. I just imagine her face when you like walk by her and like touch her on the shoulder. It's just I felt real. I got real sad about a lot of things all at once, and now I feel bad. Anyway, Bob as Smith and HQ are on stage and have the rest of the girls come up on stage with them so they can honor Shan Yu for a reason. I don't know. Anyway, when on stage, Shan Yu pulls a gun on Silent Bob as Kevin Smith. Someone in the crowd says she must have paid to see Yoga Hosers. Get it, Isaac?
Mm-hmm.
Now his shitty movie is okay because he knows it's bad. Ha! So your criticism is no longer valid. Thanks, Kevin Smith.
He gotcha.
He got you. I didn't watch it. Anyway.
I'm going to make you watch it.
Can
we redo movies?
I don't see why
what are the
not.
rules?
But, oh, God,
What's the contract say?
Oh, God, I don't see why not. Oh, shit. Anyway, Shan Yu starts speaking in English with a heavy Russian accent, revealing that Silent Bob is just pretending to be Kevin Smith. So apparently Shan Yu is a Russian agent who manipulated the other girls into getting her here to do something.
Okay, I am confused, more so.
The bad guys in the Blunt Man movie, who were supposed to be part of this scene they're filming with the crowd as extras, are apparently also Russian goons.
It's a good goon, especially these days.
So Shan Yu, she was the Chinese girl who was speaking into her weird microphone the whole movie that they were taking to this. That's the whole reason they went to this con. And she's apparently a Russian agent. That's the weird turnaround at the end of this movie.
So what the lesson is, inclusivity is not good because there's spies everywhere?
Well, if you ask Kevin Smith, he'll dance around it, but yes, I do believe that is what he thinks. So they throw Silent Bob outside in the garbage pile because she says, throw this man in the trash, and they're literal because they're Russians and they don't get sarcasm, I guess. How's your fucking war going, idiots? Back inside, so they, oh yeah, that's right. They throw him outside into a garbage pile, and the next sentences out of my mouth are going to sound insane, but I swear they are true. Silent Bob looks across the street and spies a post-apocalyptic scrapyard, noticing what I'm positive will turn out to be a fully functioning, copyright-free Iron Man suit. Back inside, Shan Yu gloats that Russia infiltrated U.S. elections and now U.S. pop culture conventions. No reason is ever given why. She mentions something about wanting to kill Kevin Smith because he directed Jersey Girl, not sure if related.
What?
Again, Kevin Smith jerking himself to completion several times during this fucking movie. She said that Kevin Smith is stuck in the glory of the 90s and his work is derivative and therefore must die.
Yeah.
If you do an hour and 45 minutes of a movie, I get if you want to poke fun at yourself and you want to poke fun because no one liked Tusk and no one liked yoga hosers. When you do it the entire time, it becomes so masturbatory. It strains incredulity to the absolute extreme. When literally, like, if you look at a script of a movie and the characters are saying their lines, and each line on several pages of script is referencing yourself, you're doing it wrong. You're just coming on my face, and I didn't ask for it. I didn't want you to come on my face, Kevin Smith.
You have bedroom eyes, Larry. I'm just saying.
It keeps, like, when they get to the con, it gets worse and worse. Okay, you want to have them run through the Clerks panel, run through the Comic Book Men panel, sure. That's a cute reference, I guess, if you like that sort of thing. You want to have them talk to the other characters, Brody from Mallrats, whoever the fuck, Holden from Chasing Amy, fine, that fits. The fact that you have to fucking put yourself on stage and be like, well, I directed this and it's pretty bad, but it's kind of good though, huh? Don't you think it's kind of good? Don't you think it's funny that I'm saying it's bad? But I think it's kind of good, and I know you think it's kind of good. God damn you, Kevin Smith, you fuck.
Yeah. Tarantino is also famous for having a universe where things are related in the movie, and he does it very subtly and never mentions himself. And he even plays characters in his roles, but he never plays Tarantino.
No.
He does what Kevin Smith's trying to do well. And Kevin Smith does it.
You know what also does it well? The thing he's mocking, aping the Marvel Universe, which also manages to get it without being too over the top.
Right, yeah, and even did the Stan Lee cameos. Right. But he's never Stan Lee, right? He's just some old guy.
I think one time he was Stan Lee, but again, it's done well. And it's a cameo of, like, I think his longest cameo was like 11 seconds.
Yes, that's how to do it.
Right. Oh, God. So HQ says she'll stop Shan Yu, but Shan Yu mocks her and the other girls for being deaf, for being almost getting smothered by her brother, and for not having a dad.
Stupid not dad having people.
Well, Shan Yu tells HQ she wasted her privileged life pining for a father she never had. Jace in the crowd stands up and reveals that he is in fact HQ's dad, that he never knew she existed until they met for the first time. Jay and she have their emotional moment as she doesn't believe him at first, telling her he promised Kitty Boo Boo Fuck that he wouldn't tell HQ about her origins. He also mentions that he has to break promises sometimes, as he promised Kitty Boo Boo Fuck he wouldn't come in her, our hero. Jay has been walking closer to the stage and reveals he's been stalling to have a guy in the audience throw him a giant gun, but of course it's a fake gun which doesn't do anything. Haha, con humor. Very funny, Kev. The bad guys get Jay and Shan Yu's about to kill him, but all of a sudden through a wall bursts Silent Bob in the Iron Man suit because Kevin Smith wanted to have fucking video of his face with the Iron Man like Jarvis shit on his face in the helmet so that when he's jerking off his dick in this fucking theater in his house to his own work, he could think about his own face as he comes. I have softened a lot on Kevin Smith at the end of this movie, but man, that is really good. Lord, fucking just come to something else, man. Why do you have to involve me in your masturbation? I didn't ask for this. So Silent Bob starts defeating the goons, and the rest of the con starts helping because we're all Jay and Silent Bob fans. The girls defeat Shan Yu and the rest of the goons by combining the powers of their magic joint with Jay's magic joint. But again, it's just they just light him, and then the weed smoke knocks all the goons out because they can't handle all that weed. I guess Kevin Smith likes weed. Shan Yu reveals her weird microphone this whole time was a sonic disruptor and blasts sound at everyone. But Soap, who you may have both A, forgotten was deaf, and B, forgotten existed, because that's how little she's contributed, bonks Shan Yu over the head because she couldn't hear it, even though the whole thing about the vibrations, and I think the sonic thing is about the vibration more than the sound, but again, I spent 5 hours on the review as is without looking into how ears and brains work together, so forget it. So that's why she was here, because she had literally no other reason to be here otherwise. All right, so there's a gigantic fight scene and everybody is scrapping. Kevin Smith, joint in hand, is now front and center in the frame, and he says, God, I love this reboot. And then he starts narrating how the movie, the third act is wrapped up and all the characters where they need to be. And he's like, now we have to get to the emotional denouement. I think I'll get there with like a slow dissolve onto the quick stop, and then there's a slow dissolve onto the quick stop.
Kev, no. Bad.
So we dissolved Jay and HQ walking back to Quick Stop from the store from Clerks, where they spend all their time, where Jay and Silent Bob hung out all their lives. Jay and HQ have their final little wrap-up speeches where they follow through on HQ's dreams of being able to have a coffee and talk to her dad about life, as Silent Bob arrives with coffees for everyone. It's very sweet, and Jay admits he doesn't know if he's ready to be a father, so he wants to practice being a dad by teaching her stuff she doesn't know. Pearl Jam's Daughter plays behind this, which is basically the best song they could have chosen for the scene thematically.
Yeah.
Lyrically does not fit at all, but the tone of the song and the way it sounds and just them saying daughter in the chorus really evokes what the emotion they're going for here. So it's a background noise. It's incredibly well chosen. There's a very touching little scene here between the three of them, and again, I really enjoy this. It's very well done, and Smith's writing chops and understanding of his creation shine through here. Despite it all, Smith very much understands his own work, probably because he's fucking jerking off to it as much as possible. Like, he gets how Jay works in, like, a way that I get it, that he gets it, and it feels very satisfying. Because Jay is sort of the main character of the Jay and Silent Bob partnership, because Silent Bob doesn't speak, and usually is just reacting to Jay. And this feels like a lot of growth for a very silly, sideways background character who got his own franchise. This movie feels like Kronk's New Groove if it was good. Because Jay is not a character that should lead a fucking movie. Because he's weed come to life. It's just, he doesn't matter. But they gave him a really good, like, way to make him humanized and three-dimensional in a way without taking away the things that people like about Jay. Which may not be a thing that I give a shit about, but I appreciate that they molded him being a father into still being Jay in a really good way. Like, I'm really, really impressed with how well it is. You know, it doesn't end with him, like, having won the lottery and like, on a boat, or, you know, him having got a job, or he's the fucking president, or it ends with him at his favorite place telling his daughter, hey, I love this place. Don't stand here, at least not until you understand what the world is. Like, it's
subtle ending.
Yeah, it's really, like, the relationship between the two of them is really well put together, I think. I really do like it. I don't have, like, very many negative things to say about it. I think that it comes together very, I think a lot of gravitas is given to HQ's character and her not having a father being why she's so screwed up that isn't deserved, not because of the trauma, but because of the writing. I don't think she deserves the level of brokenness her character is described to have because she doesn't really do anything to earn that, if that makes any sense. But I think it's more so about Jay, which is fine because, he's the character people have paid money to see. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The scene pulls away as Jay's relaying all their adventures, which I'm sure, again, if you know the movies, is fun because he's talking about shit from like 5 other movies. But yeah, and then in the background, Dante opens up the shop, and it's just honestly a really nice ending. I think it's a very good way to end Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
I feel like there were so many ways that you could have done it poorly, especially with the dad-daughter reunited.
Yeah,
Just so many tropes, having a catch or birds and the bees gag or whatever.
Right.
So many bad ways to do it. And this very subtle way.
And he even still, like, at the end admits to her, like, I'm not ready to be a dad. And she's like, okay, look, I get it. I'll leave. And he's like, no, you misunderstand. Like, I'm not ready, so let's practice me being a dad until I'm good at it. And then, like, he starts telling her, like, because it's really touching, too, because he's like, find yourself a best friend who, will always be there for you and be involved in all your crazy schemes and listens to you and is like your backbone. It's very nicely well done and sweet, and it's just good. I really, again, like, I say a lot of bad things about Kevin Smith, but he understands these two characters very well. Mm-hmm. And, he spent 30 years with them in his head, so he knows where they should be, and he nailed it. I think he nailed it with that part. But yeah, that's the end. There is a fucking bunch, like over 10 extra scenes over the credits, which I am 100% going to ignore because fuck them. They're almost entirely references to the View Askewniverse, and I don't give a shit about that. So, and at the end, there's like a bit with Stan Lee. That's kind of cute because he's like, he has him at like an interview and he's like kind of teasing him. He's like, oh, I'm going to film your part now so you can't back out of me. Because at one point when he's on stage, Kevin Smith is like, yeah, I decided to make this movie by almost dying and then guilting all my friends I hadn't seen in forever to come be in my movie again because I almost died. And he sort of does that same thing with Stan Lee, and like he gives him 2 lines to say, and Stan Lee like can't get through them without laughing, and it's very cute because he's an old man and he like is clearly enjoying himself, so it's fine, but it's not worth talking about anymore.
I feel like I might have missed it, but did Silent Bob have a line?
Yes, he when they're at the Klan rally, Silent Bob distracts them by like he just puts on a Klan hood and he like goes into the rally and he just starts like yelling at them like he's there from Klan corporate. It basically he just confuses them long enough for them to get covered in shit. It wasn't because I know like in Clerks 2 he has like a final revelatory scene like cause they're in prison and like Jay is like kind of bashing him and he sort of is like what are you talking about? He has like the Jerry Springer final thoughts where like he has he's sort of the moral compass of all these movies. And in Chasing Amy too, he again in that he is sort of the one who makes Ben Affleck realize like, oh God, I'm a piece of shit, huh? So I was expecting something a little more like him being giving some kind of lesson, but in this, not really. It's just sort of like he confuses the Klan, and also at the movie when he like sees the Blunt Man and Chronic movie, he says, "Oh fuck," which then everyone kind of looks at him, but. Yeah, not really what I expected, but yeah, he does have a line. Sorry.
Okay.
So actually, I'm actually really surprised by this movie. Is it bad? Yeah, no fucking doubt. It's Kevin Smith jerking himself off for 85% of the running time.
I want to have a counter for how many times you said jerk off.
It's what he does. It's the whole movie. It's the whole movie. There's cameos that, much like a Marvel movie, only make sense if you've seen the catalog of films up to that point. As I have not, they do nothing for me. Kev cannot stress the fact of how much this is a reboot, and it's the same thing with a fresh coat of paint. Over and over and over, characters keep referencing that, which I guess he thinks is supposed to make it okay? I don't know. Jay and Silent Bob both typically are nothing characters that exist for Jay to be a wastrel and Bob to be a sidekick who would occasionally give life-changing spouts of advice. An entire movie based on them seems wildly unnecessary, but as this is like their 3rd or 4th one, I think. I don't even know. Whatever on that front. Seriously, this movie is Kevin Smith pouring himself a tall glass of his own jizz and guzzling it down with all the greed of an army of elephants slurping up a river.
Oh,
I'll give him credit, at least. He's aware of it and acknowledges it way, way too much. It's like if you and I were having sex, Isaac, and the whole time I was laughing and saying, hey, but screw it, we're having sex, right? It's fun. Isaac, you like sex, don't you? And every time you said, yes, Larry-san, your pee-pee is so big and girthy, I love it. And then I said again, yeah, well, you're having sex and you love it. I know you love it, but hey, did you know we're having sex? And we're also both high the whole time. That's this movie. Constantly saying, hey, this is dumb, right? But you like it. But it sure is dumb. You do like my dumb movie, right? It's so dumb, but hey, we know you like it when things are dumb. And half the time, Jay and Silent Bob are spectators to what's happening on screen and not even involved. They do a lot of nodding and looking at one another while watching other people talk at them. The inclusion of the group of girls, well, I touched on that already, so rewind and listen back to that about how I feel about them. Not terrible, but certainly very forced. Especially considering their diversity rainbow really only exists to be a diversity rainbow, and Smith practically says that himself, which does not help his case.
Yeah, no.
Now, all that said, like I said, there are some things about this I really do like. Namely, the Chasing Amy follow-up, which I know I skirted around the details to, but really is a very well-done bit of writing, especially as a follow-up to Chasing Amy and as, like, this is going to help Jay grow. And the entire engine at the center, which is the relationship between Jay and HQ. And we've sort of gone over it already, so I don't need to feel the need to reiterate it. But again, I really think that turning this character Jay, who is this nothing nobody character, and giving him this growth arc that like really nails it. It really fucking nailed like an arc of growth for a guy like Jay, who has been this same character for 30 years, and in the course of this one movie, like, grows into a much more three-dimensional character without losing the things about him that people like. I can't, like, I know I'm gushing about it, but I really do think he very much nailed that part. Like, really nailed it on the head. I don't love Harley Quinn Smith as an actress, frankly, but, and Jason Mewes as Jay, I mean, I think he does a great job at being emotional about this while still being Jay. Like, I think, and acting opposite him, I think Harley Quinn Smith, same thing. I think she also is very, like, you know, she does a good job of, like, portraying the emotions of this character on screen and buttressing Jay's growth. It's just an interesting, like, and I like that it's a different take. It's not, you know, it's not like fucking Grace, like, change everything about yourself and then a guy will love you. Like, that's sort of ham-fisted shit. Like, again, the wide, broad strokes that Kevin Smith makes are very, very ham-fisted child with a crayon. But the intricate details, I think, are where his strength lies. I think, like, sense. the dialogue and the, you know, the direction he sends them in, I think there's a lot of good there and a lot of strength there. And it's weird to see, like, both sides of Kevin Smith's ability on this one. Like, you see his whole ass, but you also see, like, the things he's good at. And it's an interesting dichotomy between the two and how it goes. And I think it's a refreshing concept, especially for the typical Kevin Smith fare. And softening Jay and Silent Bob while still keeping the core of their act intact, didn't mean to rhyme there, is really a testament to how well Kevin Smith understands the lessons he's learned, and I give him a ton of props in that regard. I may have gotten distracted in the middle of my story earlier, but apparently Chasing Amy is inspired by something from his real life. Like,
oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Story actually, okay, I guess I didn't mention earlier. That actually happened. Like, he dated a woman who turned out to, like, I don't think she was a lesbian, I don't remember, but he got obsessed with her sexual experiences before him, which is sort of the crux of Chasing Amy, and he let it ruin their relationship. And, like, years later, he, like, talked to that woman again and was like, hey, I learned a lot about this, and I want to make a project about it. So Kevin Smith has a history of learning from his own life and, like, translating that into good screen experiences. So, and I've softened on him a lot.
He's very big hit or miss. Like, when he hits certain points and he misses big on others. I'm
willing to agree that the things about this movie that I think are really dumb is stuff that is not for me. It's for other people. There are fans of this who, I know I was making fun of 30 neckbeards and think he's a genius. No, there's a lot of people who like Kevin Smith, like his work. I mean, there's a lot of big name actors in this who I wouldn't expect to see in a fucking Kevin Smith joint, you know? So, like, I get it. It's not for me. I still think you could do without fucking jerking yourself off on screen for an hour and 40 minutes. And there's a lot of shit that, a lot of shit he did wrong. But I think a lot of the things that I specifically don't like are because I'm just not into that sort of shit. Mm-hmm. So overall, I really grappled with the rating this time. Like, I sat and thought about it for like 15 minutes. I think it's mostly a derivative piece of junk that exists purely to pump out more of Kevin Smith's very specific brand of geekdom into the veins of, like I said, the 30 neckbeards who think he's a genius, which I know is unfair. I'm coming around on him a bit. I still think he spends way too much time patting himself on the back, and I think he's definitely overblown as a director because a lot of his work is trash, and not just me is saying that. I mean, we've had 2 movies on this show of his already, and we both had very unkind things to say about them.
If you want to get overblown, contact Adolf Spittler.
Well, overblown, but no swallowing.
No, I do not swallow. It's icky, gross.
He does come off, not Hitler, not Spittler, Kevin Smith. Smith does come off as an honest guy in his work, and he seems willing to bear his whole ass for the sake of his work, which I can appreciate. He'll never be a guy I look forward to seeing movies from, but I think while diving deeper into this, coupled with my digging into Chasing Amy and my admitted love of Clerks and a bizarrely deeper love of Clerks 2, I've come around a lot on Kevin Smith in the past few years. He did some really nice work with this movie, all said and done, and he managed to do it without a single recognizable hockey reference, which is astounding.
Was he in a hockey jersey?
My next words are, he also only managed to wear a hockey jersey one time, which is doubly astounding. Kevin, our long feud is over. Let us go our separate ways, not as friends, but at least in peace. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot gets a 4 out of 10 from me.
Damn.
Bad, but a lot of good in the cracks, and the bad in this was a lot less bad than the bad in a lot of other bad shit. Like, the things about it that I didn't like were more exasperating than terrible.
Okay.
Certainly was some terrible, but it was just more of like oh my god, again? Yeah, I understand a reboot is different from the original, you fucking clown. I think a 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 is still very much a failing grade, but I mean, for Bowles, for my reviews,
we usually don't get in that territory.
For me, that's like a B.
Yeah. you have to grade on a curve.
Yeah.
A sports metaphor that comes to mind for Kevin Smith and his movies is Ryan Howard, who played on the Philadelphia Phillies for a while.
Oh, I recognize that name.
He struck out a lot and never had good batting average, but he hit a lot of fucking home runs. So occasionally, you're a star, but then you also fuck up a lot of shit, and you're not really a good hitter, but you get the job done sometimes.
Yeah, I can see, I can see what he's good at now, and I think that he is talented in that sense. I think a lot of his crap is also very derivative and very specific, and not for me.
Yeah.
Or just bad, or outright bad.
Well, there's definitely. So having seen Tuscan Yoga Hosers, there's a lot of outright
those
bad.
are terrible, and he references them again and again. And I do think there is a lot of negative in this too. I think the girls are they themselves are not written badly, kind of, but like their inclusion is very much like check them off the list. I got a lesbian, I got a black girl, I've got an Indian or a Muslim girl. Yep. Okay, good. All right, next.
Yeah.
It's especially considering those characters do not matter. They really don't matter. So.
Oh, Kev.
Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts or?
No, I think I've talked about this enough, man. That was way too much.
All right. Well, next week
I'm
covering...
hopefully my own ham fist wasn't showing while I was trying to describe the good parts about the J stuff I liked. I don't really think I did a phenomenal job explaining what I meant, but
I think I got it.
I do think that there is a lot of good there. It's hard to describe because a lot of it's also specific to the way my brain works, which I wish would just stop. Yeah. Just for 1 minute, just stop and let me sleep.
Listener Sarah, please write an email in starting a one-way awkward conversation with Larry about how well he explained that aspect during this episode.
Hey Sarah, you have my phone number. Just do that, please.
I
do that.
Really hope this is a running bit.
It's not a good bit.
It's making me happy.
Well, it's oh God.
Anything that angers you is probably good.
I know it's true, but also fuck you.
Oh boy. Okay, so next week I'm covering Biodome. We're probably going to be a couple days late because I do have my trip to Denver and I couldn't get shit done ahead of time. So we're going to probably have a little extra fun bonus episode on Sunday, and then the full episode will be out on Tuesday. and that'll be Biodome. And then next week, Larry, you're doing a movie that definitely is not nuanced in the way that this movie certainly was. It stars a Saturday Night Live alum.
Oh, good. Good. Great. Those are always good.
What Saturday Night Live guys from the 90s do you know about?
I don't fucking care. None. I don't
Chris
follow
Farley.
the history
You
of
like
Saturday
Chris
Night
Farley?
Live. Yeah, I like Chris Farley.
Adam Sandler has his moments.
Few and far between, but yes.
Oh, come on. There's plenty of great guys from the 90s. You got Chris Rock out there getting slapped.
Okay.
Who else
He's in Rush Hour. I like Rush Hour.
He's not in Rush Hour.
That's Chris Tucker, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fuck. I always get them mixed up. Just because their names are Chris, not because they're black. Their names are Chris.
I did it with Carlos Mencia and what's his face the other day. So we're just bad people.
I don't remember who you even got them mixed up with.
George Lopez.
George Lopez, right?
It's a fucking Ski Patrol movie. God, that movie was weird. And then there's David Spade. Even he's done some good things. And then there's a little fella called Rob Schneider.
No,
who's
he's never been funny.
He's always been the low tier of 90s success.
Let me try and guess. Is it? It's not gonna be Zoolander. Is he in Zoolander? I know it's
not much. He might have a cameo. I don't know.
Yeah, no. Fuck. Is it? She's the Man. Is
no.
That wait.
His big one was Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo.
Oh, gross me at the door. There was another one. I can't think of. Well, what is it? Fuck. Everyone hates Rob Schneider. He's not good. How does he keep getting work? Because fucking Adam Sandler, much like Kevin Smith, keeps dragging him along to stuff.
That's pretty much it. So there is one benefit. Rachel McAdams is in this movie, and I have a screenshot from the trailer pulled up, and it basically looks like she's having an orgasm, and I've just been glancing over at it for the whole episode, and it's the hot chick.
The hot chick. That's what I was thinking of with She's the Man. That's the woman turns into Rob Schneider, right?
Yep. The hot chick turns into Rob Schneider, the ugliest man in the world, apparently.
He's up there. This is what I was thinking of when I was trying to think of the name of it. Fuck.
I did not see this. I've seen a few definitely seen Deuce Bigelow, and I saw something else he did. Like Animal Man or something.
The director is Tom Brady. There's no way it's the football player Tom Brady, right?
Of course not. Those are common names, Larry.
I just had to check. Oh, man. A curse that turns the hottest, most popular, and meanest girl on a high school campus into Rob Schneider in this hilarious comedy. Description written by Rob Schneider. Oh, man. Oh. Yeah, no, I'm vaguely familiar with this. There was a bunch of commercials for this movie. There's like I remember the commercials where it was hit because he's technically like a teenage girl in Rob Schneider's body, and when she wakes up on the day of it, he's screaming into the mirror, and then he pulls down his shirt to look at his titties and starts screaming again. Yep.
And then sits on the toilet and notices he has a dick.
Yeah. God damn it. I hope to get through my life without ever seeing this, but here we are.
Well, that's the story of the show.
Keeps giving him work. I guess this is 2002.
Yeah.
Is he dead? Did he die?
No, he's not dead. I don't think he hasn't been making big movies like this. Oh,
he's in Seinfeld? He's in the season 2 episode of Seinfeld. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah. What?
I just watched
he's
all of
ballet, right?
Oh, I genuinely don't remember.
I think he might be the guy who stinks up the car.
Really? That would fit. Schneider, Seinfeld.
Maybe it's
Friars
something else.
Club. Rob Schneider.
Oh no. Elaine? I don't think he's dating Elaine. I think he's like
He's the guy at Peterman's office who had the Tic Tacs. Elaine gives him the Tic Tacs he always sneaks up and steals Elaine's credit. So she gives him Tic Tacs, and then it drives Peterman crazy for hearing the Tic Tacs, so she has to track him down.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. That was his only good work.
More or less, yeah. Oh boy, this is a long one, man.
Yeah. Thanks for coming along with the journey. We're finally done. Do the internet stuff. Send us an email, balsofmovienight@gmail.com. Specifically, starting a long tangential conversation with Larry would be great.
Stop doing that. Stop it.
Facebook,
I'm gonna stop
Twitter,
reading them. And
theearlybeer.com. We'll have more content coming there soon. There's already a little bit up there now, so feel free to take a jiggle or a wiggle or a look. I don't know.
My money don't jiggle, it folds.
Oh, that song, Larry. It's in my brain.
It's tattooed on the inside of my brain.
And, oh God, My soul's trying to leave my body. Oh.
Does yours leave through the mouth or the ass? 'Cause mine's always
Both.
the mouth. I wish it was
it's always
the ass.
both.
No, that's the ass is
that's-
the demons. The mouth is the soul.
It's the problem because it's trying to escape from both ends, so it's like playing tug of war with itself. Did I ever tell you about the method? I think it's from India, some country over there, of cleaning out your digestive system.
You like swallow a ribbon, right?
Yeah, like
That
a
was
cloth
that in
ribbon.
was that in BoJack? That was in something I saw where they talk
Maybe.
about that.
But it's a
I
thing
don't-
where it
I don't
happens.
think
But
it
yeah,
was
you swallow a long enough like cloth
Yeah.
ribbon that it's still sticking out your mouth and your ass,
Yeah, and then
and
you
then
just
you like
pass
swish it back and forth.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was BoJack or some other animated show they talked about that. It wasn't Big Mouth. I don't know. It feels like it was an animated show, and it feels like I think it was BoJack. I can't remember.
I think
but
we should do that.
no. A friend at work is got me like 60% of the way convinced I should do a juice cleanse, and that ought to be bad enough.
Just juice cleanse with ribbons. We'll start a side podcast.
Shut
Okay. I think we're
the
done.
fuck up.
See you next week.
Smell you later.